minorities. The government is seeking to deport more than 1,400 Iraqis across the country. The actions are part of the Trump administration efforts to increase immigration enforcement and make countries take back nationals ordered out of the United States. Goldsmith said federal courts were first responders if constitutional rights were under threat, and the Iraqis' extraordinary circumstances gave him the power to block their deportation. A Department of Justice spokeswoman declined comment. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's now been 7 days since a group of hikers went missing in Maine's Acadia National Park, but rescue crews there are still holding out hope of finding them alive. Autistic reporter Michael Falk is on the scene there. Michael.
Hello, Brooke. My socks got wet. That cameraman gave me new socks. I am fine.
That's good, Michael, but what's the situation there?
The names of the hikers are Casey Allman, Brian Emery, Ashley Thorson. The hikers were last seen 174 hours ago. Since then, 3 very big storms have hit here. There's a 1.24% chance that all of the hikers are alive. Why are you looking for the hikers?
Well, we're still hopeful that we might be able to find them. There's been a break in the weather, so we're hoping that...
Over the past 7 days, the average high temperature has been 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Over the past 7 days, the average low temperature has been 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. So we did another sweep of the park from the air, but we didn't see anything.
Without shelter, the human body can withstand temperatures this cold for a maximum of 3 hours. Is there shelter in the forest for the hikers?
Not that we know of.
They are frozen.
Well, we like this.
This is the Onion News Network.
Fires.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and of course, you can join us right here. And as always, take control of the airwaves, bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well, where you can Skype in and join the show. That's Skype username LRN.FM. A disturbing story coming out of Gizmodo about the Google Home device that may be turning you into the police. But first...
Boom! You're the police.
Nicely done.
Thank you so much.
And longtime listeners may recognize...
I'm glad I have somebody here that can get a joke. He will be like, what is that supposed to
I
mean?
got that joke. Thanks very much.
I'm so glad. Believe me, I really am so glad.
So, longtime listeners may recognize the third voice on the show. It's Ian and Mark as normal here on a Wednesday night, but Brett Veinotte is back on the air with us. Hey, Brett.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be back here.
For listeners who are new to the show, they may not know you as the host of the School Sucks Project,
Indeed.
School Sucks Podcast.
And one of my favorite co-hosts here on Free Talk Live.
Oh, thank you. You're one of mine.
Well, the listeners really enjoyed it when you were regular on Wednesday nights for
I think
like
it was
a year.
probably him that caused me to call you a BAMF. And,
that happened while he was in here.
Yeah,
that's right.
true.
It did, but I quickly disappeared. I sunk down. I remember being under the table like an atomic bomb drill.
Is that the most viewed video on
No, the most viewed one is where I'm going through the checkpoint.
The checkpoint now. That has surpassed
it's number 2.
it. That is
long surpassed it.
It's more relevant, so I'm glad to hear that the checkpoint video is more popular. But Brett, you've been busy doing your thing with School Sucks and moving about the state. You were living in Keene. You were on the show regularly for a while. You moved over to Manchester, and now you've headed over to Claremont, a dying town where apparently there's nothing going on.
Oh, it is dying.
That's
up
what
there.
I've heard. I've never been there.
Oh, it's terrifying. No, I don't live in Claremont is like a landmark. That's
okay.
I live in that area.
How bad is it in Claremont?
It looks pretty bad.
When you say looks, like empty storefronts, that kind of thing?
A lot of abandoned buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They have a nice little strip where they've got a nice movie theater. They've got a nice supermarket. There are some things going on there, but there is an alarming number of abandoned businesses and buildings and homes.
Why? Why is that? Why Claremont? Why did that happen there?
I think this is a phenomenon in the Northeast where a lot of these towns are built up around some kind of factory. Right, and
so like in Berlin, which is one of the northernmost cities in New Hampshire, they had a logging industry that went under, and that town started dying, and housing prices sank through the floor. What was the industry in Claremont?
I'm not sure what was happening. There are. I mean, it's a beautiful. If you like brick buildings, Claremont is a beautiful little cityscape.
We've
That's
got brick
true
buildings in New Hampshire.
That's
That's
true
for
in a
sure.
lot of New England. Though,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Well, I mean, it's not. So you have like the Manchester waterfront is beautiful. There's lots of towns like that in Vermont that they're all along rivers. All these beautiful brick buildings spring up, and then they're empty, and then the town basically disappears over time.
Well, if you feel bad about where you live, all you have to do is head a couple of towns south to Charlestown, and you can see something that's really gone catastrophe.
This is New Hampshire?
Yeah,
Charlestown?
Charlestown, New Hampshire.
I've never even heard of it.
It's 2 towns south of Claremont.
Oh, wow.
So dying town, but you're up there doing your thing with the School Sucks Project. Still weekly production of podcasts, pretty much.
Yeah, we shoot for usually about twice a week. Been hitting closer
Great.
to once a week lately. We're actually now moving into doing events. We've got one coming up this summer I could tell you a little bit about.
Yeah, do tell me about that. You're hosting an event?
We are hosting an event in Salem, Massachusetts. I don't know if you guys
The town of the witches.
Yes, it is a really fascinating town for many reasons. It was actually run by pirates throughout most of the 1800s.
Wow.
Pirates controlled the economy.
It's still true today. We're the government.
Yes, yeah. But we're bringing in a former college professor and historian and author named Thaddeus Russell, who I think I've talked about on this very show before.
I think
He's
we've had him
practically
on.
taken over your podcast, right?
What's that?
He's practically taken over your podcast, right?
He's probably been on about 20 episodes. My audience loves him because he
great.
pushes people so far, so quickly out of
I'm
their
so glad
intellectual
your
comfort
audience
zones.
is ready to think. You know, they take on the mental challenge, and they're ready to look at it.
That's why
His
I
audience
think
is really thoughtful. It's like a really smart podcast.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I love him, because I felt like the show was in a real lull in 2013 or 14 when we first started working with him, and he really rejuvenated things. You guys might remember he came to New Hampshire to give a speech at an event, and he like almost instantly became one of the most divisive figures in the Liberty movement by saying that people smoking pot in the hotel where the event was being held were heroes for doing it, and this became like a real property rights kind of debate. But this only continued on my show for years, and he really rankled a lot of my audience members, but they love him. They're always excited when he's on. So we always thought it would be cool to do a face-to-face event like this where we get together and we let people actually debate with him on some of these topics. So we're going to be talking about things like the Trump presidency, the politics of race, the chaos in higher education currently, and it's a 2-day event in this beautiful, historic, quite tragicomic town, if you think about everything that happened there with the Puritans back
so
in
which
the
town was it?
1600s.
Oh, Salem. Right,
Salem,
in
Mass.
Massachusetts.
And
when?
What's that?
When is it?
It's August 5th and 6th. And if people...
Is it a weekend? What is that?
It is a weekend, yeah. And if people want to learn more, then go to schoolsucksproject.com/fadfest.
THAD.
THADFEST. Or they can go to thaddeusrussell.com/courses.
So is it going to be in a hotel, or what's the venue?
The beautiful Hawthorne Hotel one day, and then we're moving it to Endicott College in neighboring Beverly, Massachusetts, right on the ocean.
Why are you moving it? Were you not able to?
We wanted a bigger. No, we wanted to be in like a small, intimate space one day, and then we wanted to be able to welcome a larger audience for a talk that he's going to be giving about this upcoming book called Blood and Freedom, which is sort of about all of the bad things that we would talk about with American foreign policy, but also how foreign countries like Soviet Union comes to mind embrace certain aspects of American culture and kind of get this idea of freedom in them, alive in them, and then they want more of it. So it's kind of that those two sides playing against each other in this book.
So where's he from, Thaddeus Russell? Where's he?
He's from Berkeley, California.
So is that where he lives right now?
No, he lives up in Oregon. I actually just flew out there to do...
So he's coming all the way over to Salem to do this thing with you. That's pretty awesome.
Yep, absolutely. And I just flew out there. I just flew out to Portland. I was there leaving this time last week to be on his podcast, and we had a great conversation. So... He's a very big part of the School Sucks experience for the last few years.
And how many years has it been now? 7, 8 years?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, we're celebrating
Congrats.
our 8th anniversary, the first day of this event in August.
Perfect.
August 5th, yeah.
Wow, congratulations, dude.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic
I
run.
appreciate it.
Most podcasts
And that's
don't
pretty
make
much
it
what you
past
do
8
for
months.
a living, right? The School Sucks Project?
It is what I do for a living, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't originally. It took...
It's just, I mean, it's not intended to be insulting. There's a lot of podcasters out there that don't do that for a living.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a hobby for a lot of them.
The vast majority, I'd say.
I like to be a little more cautious than just saying, oh, yeah, one day I decided to start doing it for a living. I probably should have waited a little longer and planned a little more. You know?
I have the same thing to say about coming to work for sales for Free Talk Live.
Right.
I'm like, we have 26 stations. I could make a living doing that. Thank God for Jason Osborne, who came in with a big old check to sponsor us. I'd been sitting in the poorhouse.
Right.
So, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's a limited engagement, but we'd love to have you back, at some point in the future. Obviously, you're an hour away now, so it's probably not as convenient.
Well, anytime I'm passing through town, I always think about it. So we talked a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, I'm going through there, so let's see if we can make something happen." I'm glad we did.
Happen. All right, let's go to your phone calls and thoughts here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. And then I've actually got a story that's related to Salem, Massachusetts, because that is the new home of the Satanic Temple. They've opened up offices. Their head offices are located there now, and they're back in the news for another satanic monument somewhere in the United States. We'll tell you about that coming up here, but let's go to, I believe it's Hassan is with us on Skype. Hassan, are you with us there?
Yes, I'm currently here. Hello. I wanted to talk about basically a topic that's covered in the previous episode of the show. It's related to net neutrality.
Net neutrality today being. Hang on, we're going to bring you back, get into it, deeply here, because today's the big day for the protest. There's an online protest going on in favor of net neutrality. So the people who do not want net neutrality to be repealed are taking down their websites, slowing down their websites, and Hassan wants to comment. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
Don't do what I did and run out. If it's working, don't quit. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished?
You've got to feed them right for life.
Dynovite is nutrition.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynovite...
No.
When I get to about 3/4...
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynovite, oh no, I've got a couple more scoops. It's time to place my order. Dynovite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of NomoFlea free.
NomoFlea flea spray kills fleas safely with no poison.
Because it's a polypeptide protein molecule made from
vegetable oil.
Try NomoFlea.
Free this week at Dynovite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. survivalspeech.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may take control of the airwaves. The number here is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. On this day of online protest, supposedly, I did see something crop up on Reddit earlier this morning at about 12:30 Eastern Time that was designed to annoy you, basically, like to slow down your experience of being able to actually get to the website. And I don't remember the text of the message, but it was something. Actually, I think I took a screenshot of it. But it was something to the effect of, this is what life is going to be like if net neutrality goes away. And then they want you to go to some website. I think it was called Battle for the Net. There's actually like 2 or 3 different websites that are promoting this idea, where you can then send a message to a congressperson or senator type character.
Dear Senator, please make these people stop slowing down the internet with their dumb campaigns.
So I remember net neutrality talking about it in like 2007, and I know it's kind of a...
People weren't talking about it back then, were they?
All the way, yeah, 2007, 2008. It's been an issue for a long time, and I remember... Wow. There was a lot of fear-mongering about it, but I almost completely forget what the issue is. I know it's been one of contention, even inside, the ideas of liberty. I guess the idea that some of these people are worried about is that these big corporations come in and they kind of choke the speed to sites like mine or sites like yours.
That's the fear, but there's, in my opinion, no real evidence that was going on prior to the implementation of net neutrality, which happened, I think, in 2015. So now the proposal is to repeal it. And we've got Hassan on the line in New York. We talked about this situation in detail last night. So if you missed that show, you can go and grab it at freetalklive.com, grab the archive. But Hassan, you wanted to comment, so please do.
Yes. Basically, I feel that there's a small amount of misinformation in regards to the coverage of it.
Okay.
Basically, there have been multiple cases of violations of net neutrality in the past. Like, it first started in 2005. That's when they first started enforcing it, but the rules were actually in place starting in like the late 90s. Basically, what happened was in 2000, like between 2000 and 2004, a number of ISPs started to block VoIP services. So basically, because it competed with their phone service.
Right. So for instance, Time Warner or Comcast or whatever, they might offer a phone service to compete with the local telephone company, but they don't want you using the internet connection, or they didn't want you using your own internet connection for your own voice over IP lines that weren't running through their service. So you're saying some of them were blocking those services?
Yeah, that was going on by a number of ISPs back then.
Why did they stop?
And eventually the FCC stepped in and fined one of the ISPs $15,000, and they stopped.
Even though there wasn't net neutrality protections in at that time?
No, there were. Under Title I, they were still trying to enforce them, and those rules were in place. And then in 2007, Comcast was caught blocking BitTorrent traffic. The way that they were doing it was whenever a TCP packet went through that used the torrent protocol, from their layer 7 filtering that basically follow it up with a reset packet. So it effectively blocked BitTorrent traffic.
And this was the justification. This is why it became, I think, a controversy at that time, is because they were saying that they could use this to not give preferential or equal treatment to illegal activity, while other people were trying to use the internet for more wholesome purposes.
Yes, but there were a number of legitimate uses. For smaller multiplayer games, they couldn't do large-scale updates for their games, so they used the torrent network to distribute them. So there are a number of legal uses.
Yeah, sure. We put our archives up on torrent, or the older archives. Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree is available on torrent. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some legal purposes for it. And so what happened there? Did they get fined? And what turned them around there?
Basically, the FCC threatened them at that point, and they stopped blocking the traffic.
So you're saying net neutrality existed
I thought
before
it did.
2015? I thought the whole debate was happening in like 2014 because they wanted to implement it, and then it got implemented in 2015. What changed in like the 2015 range?
Yeah, that's the main area I want to get into. Basically, in 2014, Verizon launched a court case against the FCC in order to get rid of those net neutrality rules. At that time, it was basically just 4 rules: that everyone's had freedom to access content, freedom to run any application they want, freedom to attach devices, that means they can attach anything to their network, and freedom to obtain service plan information. It was just those 4 rules. Verizon didn't like those rules, and they challenged it in court. And the outcome was that under Title I regulation, they didn't have the legal authority to actually enforce net neutrality rules. At that point, the public didn't really go crazy over it. There wasn't a huge uproar about it until at that point when those rules got struck down, a number of ISPs started throttling. And actually Comcast, they were the biggest offender of this, because on the interconnects at the peering points between Comcast, Cogent, and Level 3, they started scaling back the capacity of those networks. There were blog reports from Level 3 and Cogent where basically Comcast would disable some of the 10 gigabit Ethernet ports.
And Level 3 and Cogent are like the internet backbone suppliers. These are the people that provide the really high speed connections that then Comcast hooks up to. Is that right?
Yeah, they provide the connections. So for example, a company like Netflix, they wouldn't go with Comcast. They would go with someone like Level 3, someone who can provide hundreds of gigabits per second worth of throughput.
Okay.
But in those cases, Comcast started intentionally degrading the quality of the network. They disabled some of the hardware. They made it so it would reach a point where it couldn't supply the throughput necessary to run that service smoothly. And then they started basically they wanted to charge Netflix for preferential quality of service treatment. So they'll implement QoS rules, which would effectively give them high priority.
Would give them preference over anybody else that was doing video streaming, for instance.
Yeah. So they scaled back, and then they wanted to charge people to fight over basically the little throughput that was left over. That's what Comcast was doing. Eventually Netflix gave in and paid them, and then literally within a few days of them announcing that agreement, the service returned to normal. Verizon did the same thing also at that point, and the end result was Netflix upped their rates by I think $2.
Okay.
Because they had to pay those ISPs.
So you're clarifying that net neutrality has been around a lot longer than 2014, and you're saying that there have been some things that have been done by certain internet service providers that you believe that. Are you saying you believe that the government is necessary to stop them from doing those things in the future?
No. Basically, it's true what you say. The government is basically an organization that breaks your leg and then hands you a crutch. Mm-hmm. The problem is that removal of the net neutrality rules now is effectively them continuing to break your leg, but taking away the crutch.
Yeah,
because this is kind of what the EFF said when we had them on the air, is that if the internet was allowed to grow organically, then then they wouldn't have needed net neutrality. But now we need it because it wasn't so much. I want to ask some more questions.
All right, you want Hassan to stay? All right, hang on, Hassan, if you can. We'll bring you back here. Mark's got some questions for you. Your toll-free number, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. It's a tough issue. And it's in the news again right now with this day of protest. More coming up.
Tyler, time to go for our family walk.
Just let me nap a little longer.
You promised we'd get more active.
I know. How come you're so ready to go?
It's Superberry's Aronia berries.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness.
Where'd you get them?
I ordered them from superberries.com/radio, and right now we can get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus, we can save $4 at checkout.
I can't wait to try them. I'll get the dog.
I'll get the kids.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
No, I can understand the time cue, but what I know is wiser than anything else. Like God created one day, I've created 4 simultaneous days in one rotation of Earth.
At what point did you become the wisest human, Gene Ray?
Well, I've learned everything. When you know everything, there's nothing to know.
Okay, well, now, you said you're getting ready to write a book on it. When can we expect to see it?
No, I don't have a publisher yet. A lot of morning touch it, and so...
you touch it in the morning?
Well, sometimes, not much.
Yeah. How old are you, Dr. Gene Ray?
I'm 78. Well, I told this black lady down in St. Pete, I said, when you die, you're going to come back as a white person. And I said, I'm going to come back as a black person. I'm going to hate you hawkish.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us right here, toll-free, 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. And in the studio with you tonight, it's me, Ian.
Me, Brett.
And me, Mark.
Also, if you've got Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, you really ought to check out Jax. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live. Go to jax.io, jaxx.io, or your Google or Apple App Store. You can download it from there, although we were informed by the creator of Jax, Anthony DiOrio, today on a conference call, Mark, that apparently the Apple folks are holding up Jax, and we had.
I hear they do that with lots of apps, and Apple's not a big fan of Bitcoin generally.
Well, I don't know if they're not a big fan of Bitcoin, but they're certainly not a fan of Dash. They've been holding back Dash from being implemented, right?
They gave all the Bitcoin apps hell for a couple of years.
Right.
Well, you say a long time ago. That's not that long ago. I mean, iPhones haven't been most of iPhone's existence. They have been screwing with cryptocurrencies.
True, that's true.
If you love liberty, get an Android, root that thing, and get out of there.
Well, they say that rooting it actually might make your phone less secure against hacks. So it's probably not a good idea to recommend people rooting. It's a bit of a complicated process anyway, and it could result in your phone being bricked. But at least with the Android system, you don't have to ask their permission to put software in their store, as I understand it.
I hear it's less, in some ways, less secure, that the Apple software is more secure. But if
well,
it's
yeah,
less
that's
useful,
because Apple's vetting their software to some extent. And so, yes, if you're in the Android Play Store and there's some questionable-looking software, it may indeed be questionable software. So, you can get some bad software from the Android store. But you also have the ability as a developer to upload updates without having to ask permission. And what we were told today is the reason why some people are having a bad experience with the Jax wallet software on iOS devices is because it's 17 versions behind.
Jeez.
They've been sitting on the approval process for whatever update that Jax has been trying to push through. They've been sitting on it for how many months did he say? It seemed like it was quite a long time.
I can't remember, but he said something like 17 versions.
17 versions. However long it took, has taken them to update the Android app 17 times. The Apple people have just been sitting on it, and they're not returning, phone calls or emails. So, for those of you on iOS, it's probably not going to be the best experience. But for the rest of you, Jax is available also not just on Android. It's also Windows, Linux. They've got the, Mac version as well. There's also browser plugins for Firefox and Chrome. So there's plenty of different ways to get Jax where you don't have to go through the Apple approval process. And they make it easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds with Jax. They're striving to give you command over your digital life, including coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. It's your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jax, the official wallet of Free Talk Live at jaxx.io. We've got Hassan on the line. He stuck with us. He had brought back up the issue of net neutrality. Today is this, Internet Day of Action or whatever, where different companies are putting up some sort of notice on their front page about their support for net neutrality, although there are certainly some companies who are against net neutrality. And it's kind of a messy, complicated issue that...
Well, the protest is basically the internet version of not buying gasoline on Wednesday. It doesn't change anything.
Well, I mean, they're trying to get people to write their congressperson.
To educate the public, I suppose.
That's what the point is to get people to write their congressperson to oppose removing net neutrality. And, as we were discussing last night, Mark, you weren't on last night's show, but we got into it pretty deep, and there was an excellent article, actually, that Johnson brought in, written by a guy at Forbes magazine, asking if he was the only tech guy to oppose net neutrality, because he felt like he was really alone. It was written actually back in 2014, but it's just as relevant now. Because those of us who love liberty and who are frustrated by the state's constant meddling in our lives and in business, this is a tricky issue because the state meddling is what created the screwed up system with the limited competition that the telecommunications providers have in the first place. And now the proposed solution, this net neutrality, is more state control to supposedly level the playing field and open up the internet connections. But others are saying that net neutrality is discouraging innovation, is discouraging investments in new internet backbones and high-speed delivery methods and things like that because, they, for whatever reason, they don't have control over their connections. Why would they want to put money into it? Why would they want to expand it? So let's bring Hassan back on the line here. Mark, I know you said you had some questions for him.
So, Hassan, you had said that essentially these net neutrality rules are the government breaking your leg and then handing you a crutch. And this is done all the time, sort of by the state. This is what it excels at. And I would, what do you think the solutions are here, Hassan?
For me, I'd be fine without any of the net neutrality rules if their proposed rollback by JetPi was also to get rid of the regulations that prevented ISPs from having competition also.
But he's not proposing that, is he?
What are those regulations that prevent? Because I know there used to be lots of little ISPs around. You'd get your internet usually from a little ISP.
Those were back in the dial-up days.
Yeah, and then they just sort of dwindled away, and then they were gone.
Yeah, basically in the dial-up days, since that the infrastructure is largely shared, you could basically just have your own internet provider fairly easily. But for broadband communications, they had like a number of franchise laws that were like that local governments were implementing, and that basically prevented other ISPs from encroaching in a certain area. And then on top of that, the federal government has a lot of regulations that just make it extremely expensive to actually start up an ISP. It's just lots of paperwork, lots of fees to pay, and like in some articles that I've read, they said it more than doubles the cost of actually starting up an ISP.
I bet it does.
Hassan, how long have you been following this?
I largely started following it in 2014 when the court case was going on, but a lot of the public was not following it back then because there haven't been major abuses since that time. But then the main reason why it got such a large amount of support afterwards, like in like near the end of 2015 with all the protesting, was eventually the abuses of net neutrality. A lot of people started to feel it. That's why it gained so much support.
So what I'm interested in, when I first started reading about this maybe a decade ago, it sounded like looking back on it, it sounded like it was a lot of hippie fear-mongering about technocracy developing. But, here we are in 2017, and we have, Alphabet and Apple and Comcast and these companies. And it seems like some of those fears, Twitter, Facebook, even more recreational sites like YouTube, we see how they're being, tuned in many cases to sway or affect public opinion. Do you think that those technocratic fears are more realistic in this world than they were in the world where a lot of people first started having this debate or became aware of the net neutrality issue?
Depends. Basically, with the way that it's going now, it's like some of the fears are a bit overblown. Like, it would be difficult for them to scale it back to how we have cable TV where you can only access certain websites. They wouldn't be able to really go to that level easily at all. But
that's because they still have some competition in most marketplaces. There, even though the competition's limited, I can still switch to DSL if I don't like how the cable company is behaving, or I can switch to my cell phone provider, or I can switch to a fiber provider. So, I mean, there are several options was going through that we have in Keene, New Hampshire, in the middle of, basically nowhere, the middle of the woods in, southwestern New Hampshire. There are at least 5 to 8 different providers that you can select internet service from.
I live one town away from you, and I can tell you there is one sort of hardwired.
You've got DSL
option, and other than that, there's nothing.
There's no fiber running down that.
There's fiber running down it, but do you know what it costs to get a node so that you can break off from that fiber?
It depends on how far they have to run the fiber.
No, it doesn't. They have to send somebody up that pole to put a node on that fiber so that they can then run fiber off of it. And that's 4 figures. So, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily even an option. When I
for the average person, probably not.
In one hand, I have a chance of signing a contract for 3 years for $50 a month. On the other hand, drop us a grand and then we're going to charge you $300 a month.
Yeah, I know. There's no doubt about it. Hassan, if you have more to say, hang on. And also, if you want to weigh in here, 855-450 free like freedom. This is Free Talk Live. Because what is the solution?
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try at dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Symbi.com is a marketplace of real people exchanging skills and services, from web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Symbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
You're right. I did. We get 30 days free.
And membership is only $9.95.
Yep. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial on in toll free, bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, and the Skype username is lrn.fm. As we continue here, we've been discussing the net neutrality that is being protested, or I guess the removal of net neutrality is being protested today on certain websites like Reddit and Amazon, and let's see, SoundCloud was supposedly involved in it, Netflix.
All the rappers are upset.
So yeah, it's bad, and we're going to get into it a little bit further here. You're welcome to join us toll free, 855-450-FREE like freedom, or you can Skype in at Skype username lrn.fm. And speaking of the internet, of course, Bitcoin.com, the most unique online destination in the Bitcoin universe. If you're interested in learning about Bitcoin, maybe you're brand new to it, then head on over to Bitcoin.com. They've got all kinds of information there that'll get you started. They've also got the ability to buy Bitcoin. You can download their new Bitcoin wallet there as well, and there are no bigger Bitcoin believers than the Bitcoin.com team. You can get interactive with other Bitcoiners on their forum that's always open and censorship-free, and they've even got games you can play with your Bitcoin. So head over to Bitcoin.com, and they've got the latest news headlines from the cryptocurrency world as well. So go to Bitcoin.com as we go back to Hassan, who is a very knowledgeable caller on the issue of net neutrality. He's been schooling me, that's for sure. Apparently this was a thing before 2014, and I'd never even heard of it before that. But Brett, you said you were talking about it as far back as 2007 on your show.
I was definitely I wasn't talking about it then, but I was hearing a lot of other people talk about it, and I don't know how much longer after that came the series of tubes. What was Ted's name? The Alaska senator who said the internet was a series of tubes.
Yeah, I don't know his last name, but I know who you're talking about. I remember when that happened.
It's a huge joke.
Absolutely, but that was in reference to net neutrality. Like so many things, you could only a truck comes up, as Senator Ted said, and dumps stuff into tubes. But only so much stuff can go Ted Stevens, but only so much stuff can go in the tubes.
Oh, that's great.
The internet was just a series of those. So
you know that somebody was trying to explain to him about like sort of the size of pipes coming in as regarding, you know, how big your broadband connection is.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think it really sounded like he believed that literally.
The most amusing part of the internet as a series of tubes is how many people made fun of Ted Stevens without knowing anything more about how the internet actually works than Ted Stevens does.
Yeah.
So, Hassan, I didn't know if you had anything more to share, but I wanted to give you a chance because you've been very informative. So go ahead.
Okay. That's largely it. But basically, with the whole craze about net neutrality, basically, when Verizon originally struck it down in that court case in 2014, the ISPs wasted no time in abusing those rules at that point when they figured out that it couldn't be enforced.
Yeah, it seems like a catch-22 at this point, where they're trying to, I guess, compensate for how they've been regulated and handicapped, as you mentioned earlier. And the only other option that we're looking at that's probably realistic in the near term is regulation in the form of net neutrality, unless we're missing something.
Basically, it's because when those rules were struck down, all of the other protections were in place still. So the ISPs are still largely protected from like reasonable competition, because like while there are alternatives like various wireless connections like 4G, it's still not as good of competition, because with 4G, it's like even if you have an unlimited plan, they will basically throttle you after you go above a certain arbitrary point.
Yeah, that's true.
But how does competition work when it comes to like ISP infrastructure? Because like say one company comes and they invest to lay the lines, does another company, if Comcast goes and lays lines, does Time Warner have to lay lines, or can they use the same lines? I have no idea how that works. But you could see that if one company says, look, we laid the lines in this entire town, city, county, whatever, and we invested the capital to do that, why should other providers be able to use our infrastructure just for the sake of competition for the consumer? I mean, that sounds like a fair argument to me.
Usually in those cases, it has to do with utility pole access.
Yeah.
In a lot of jurisdictions, basically the government will not allow competition by basically preventing an ISP from, like a competing ISP from using the utility poles.
Oh, okay.
And then they won't allow them to also dig trenches to run cable in underground either. So
that's public domain then, the utility poles.
Well, kind of. I mean, so utility poles aren't cheap to put up, right? They didn't just grow there, and you've got to have something like a foot between each one of these wires. So if you're letting everybody put up a wire on that utility pole, pretty soon that's laying on the ground,
right?
And there's a reason why they don't let everybody have access to the utility poles, and it's not exactly the easiest issue. I can tell you as a volunteer fireman, wires are coming down all the time, and then they start fires. Not telephone wires, but power lines start fires and stuff. So I've learned a bit about utility poles over the years, and it's not the easiest thing. It's just like, oh well, they won't let us put a wire up. Sure, your wire's fine, but what about the 6 guys behind you that want to put a wire up?
Sure, yeah.
Hassan, thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts on this issue tonight. Appreciate hearing from you. If you want to weigh in, you're welcome to join us here. The net neutrality discussion, it's peaking again today with the online protest that is going on various different major entertainment websites and elsewhere, encouraging people to contact congresspeople in the FCC and to oppose the repeal of net neutrality. It's actually a really interesting piece over at TheVerge.com that I was just looking around just to see what the headlines were today. That is way too lengthy to read in full on the air, but I might take some excerpts out of it from Nilay Patel at TheVerge.com entitled "The Internet is Effed Again." And we'll get into that here. But let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Gene, the Christian anarchist, calling from Alabama. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Gene.
Hello. Quickly, a suggestion for your streaming app, because I was listening on the streaming app, and then I want to dial in. And you don't have a call button. You should have a button that automatically runs your phone number through your phone. And
I thought that the app had that. I'll have to.
I couldn't find it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to take another look at it. I remember that was in the original specs for it, so it may be buried in there somewhere.
Okay. And then 2 things quickly. A year and a half ago, the reason I'm in Alabama. A year and a half ago, I mentioned to you that I'd bought a helicopter, a home built.
Wow.
And just had to drop it off at the factory because I crashed it.
Oh,
so
no.
So my helicopter is broke now.
Well, can I hear about the crash? Not the helicopter's broke. I want to hear about the helicopter crash, because this is like the one thing, what's keeping me from building my own helicopter? This right here. Please tell me about it.
Well, the engine stopped, and all through your training, you learn how to land a helicopter when the engine stops.
Right.
It's called auto rotation. And I've always been nervous. We practice it, but I've always been concerned about what if you actually have to auto-rotate? How good is this going to work? Well, the engine stopped on me, and I did auto-rotate into a field, and I successfully landed it, but the field was rough, and the helicopter rolled over on the side, and so it's got a lot of damage.
Oof.
But I walked away without a scratch.
Yeah, I got to say that anybody who pulls off auto rotation has nerves of steel. Let me tell you what auto rotation is.
Yes, this was my next question.
Okay. So the engine stops on your helicopter, right? This isn't the engine stopping on your airplane where you just coast in and the engine has stopped on the thing that is kept up by the engine, right? And you're, I don't know, as high as you are in your helicopter, and you've got to, take a look down underneath it, kind of look to the side, maybe open the door as you're plummeting towards Earth in a soundless vacuum, right? And then at the very end, you pull a lever or twist a thing or whatever it is you do that takes the kinetic energy that is in the blade and
from the air rushing through it
and begin to use it to slow yourself right at the very instant. But if you use it too soon, you slow yourself, and then you pick up speed again, right? If you do it too late, well, you were too late.
Is that how it works, Gene? Is what he described?
Is that accurate?
Mark did an excellent job of explaining auto rotation.
So
we're sorry if we didn't take it seriously enough. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Gene.
How close how close to the ground do you have to hit the button to start this process?
Well, it's not a button. You're pulling up on the collective lever, and it depends on the helicopter, but about 50 feet above the ground is when you want to start.
That is close, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, man. All right, stand by, Gene. We'll get back into what you were calling about, whatever that was here, in moments. 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here. Hour number 2 on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is the most unique online destination in the Bitcoin universe. Buying Bitcoin? Do it here. Want to speak your mind to other Bitcoin users? Our forum is always open and censorship free at forum.bitcoin.com. There's no bigger Bitcoin believers than the Bitcoin.com team. That's why this site is a one-stop shop for everything you need to get into Bitcoin life. You can also play games at games.bitcoin.com. Learn more at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic at Dinovite.
This year, whenever you order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog, we'll send you a free sample of one of the other doggy things we make.
Like Lico Chops, Super Mega Fish Oil, or Doggo Suds Shampoo.
What's on your dog's wish list?
We'll offer a different freebie each week at Dinovite.com.
Don't you just love the sound of healthy, happy dogs?
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. Silver's trading at $15.77 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,215 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,373. Antiwar.com reports in a particularly embarrassing case of U.S. allies torturing detainees. A video was leaked to the Turkish media showing fighters in the Kurdish YPG torturing at least 2 captive Arabs during interrogation. The video is reportedly from the end of May and in the Mansoura district west of Raqqa. It shows the YPG forces kicking and stomping on the prisoners, demanding information about the location of the Islamic State fighters as one of the detainees screams that he doesn't know anything about it. Kurdish officials have confirmed the authenticity of the video. Exactly what that leads to is unclear, as the Kurdish self-protection body describes the acts as the torture of one of the Islamic State mercenaries, but offered no details of how they decided that's what the detainees were, let alone why they only mentioned one torture when the video clearly shows 2 people getting stomped. The Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the YPG, suggested it was an individual act and that they would be held responsible if they were identified. The U.S. says they don't condone the actions in the video and suggested an investigation might take place through the Pentagon's legal branch. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Takata has recalled 2.7 million airbags, joining 42 million affected vehicles in the largest safety notice ever in the automotive industry because of a new hazard. The latest recalls announced on Tuesday involve Ford, Nissan, and Mazda models from 2005 to 2012, ones the Japanese manufacturer originally thought were safe. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said Takata is taking this action out of an abundance of caution, though it has received no reports of any field ruptures and has not experienced any as a result of the field evaluation program. The latest recall for the first time involves airbags that use calcium sulfate as a drying agent. The inflator can combust in an overaggression manner, potentially rupturing and causing harm, according to a filing Takata submitted to the Highway Safety Administration. The first defective devices were recalled by Honda in 2008. More than 70 million inflators have been recalled, sometimes involving the same vehicle more than once. At least 17 deaths worldwide, including 12 in the United United States have been linked to Takata inflators. On June 26th, the company announced it was filing for bankruptcy protection in Japan and the United States and selling off its assets. It has established an $850 million fund to refund cost of airbag recalls and replacement costs incurred by affected auto manufacturers. Ford has not announced the models of the 2.2 million vehicles recalled and has 5 days to respond to the Takata filing. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Tuesday ruled that the government cannot immediately deport nearly 200 Iraqi immigrants arrested last month who argued they would face persecution if they were removed from the country. U.S. District Judge Mark Goldsmith in Michigan said he had the authority to order the government to keep the Iraqis in the country while their deportation cases were reviewed by the courts. In his ruling, Goldsmith said sending the Iraqis back now would expose them to a substantiated risk of death, torture, or other grave persecution before their legal claims can be tested in court. Many of the 199 Iraqis detained, largely in the Detroit area, but also Tennessee, New Mexico, and California, were Chaldean Catholics or Iraqi Kurds. Both groups said they could be targets for attacks in Iraq because they are visible minorities. The government is seeking to deport more than 1,400 Iraqis across the country. The actions are part of the Trump administration efforts to increase immigration enforcement and make countries take back nationals ordered out of the United States. Goldsmith said federal courts were first responders if constitutional rights were under threat, and the Iraqis' extraordinary circumstances gave him the power to block their deportation. A Department of Justice spokeswoman declined comment. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Researchers at the University of Washington report that they have successfully trained 7-year-old chimpanzee Makoko to do all of the tasks necessary to conduct a 3-year study on primates. According to the scientists, Makoko has efficiently learned to turn in thorough analyses of behavior in chimpanzees, fill out all of the necessary paperwork to ensure compliance with the Animal Welfare Act, and even apply for supplemental grant funding from the National Institutes of Health. Sources within your office reported today that the guy on the 3rd floor with 2 computer screens on his desk is not f***ing around. Co-workers said that the man, currently working with at least 3 programs open on each screen, was absolutely tearing it up, with sources adding that watching the man run a group video chat while dragging 2 separate Google documents to his second screen was like something out of f***ing Minority Report or something.
Jesus, he's just dragging things from one screen to the other like it's nothing. He's going balls to the wall over there. Christ, man, I don't think he's blinked in 3 minutes.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial on in toll free here and bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Brett,
and Mark.
And we're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. Of course, you can bring up whatever is on your mind. That is the point here on Free Talk Live. And then on the way, the smart device that called the police on its owners over a supposed domestic dispute. Pretty creepy. We'll get into what happened there. But first, we go back to Gene, the Christian anarchist. He's back on Free Talk Live, calling from Alabama. So you were telling us that you crashed your helicopter recently, or landed safely as safely as you could, while sort of barely controlling the crash at the very end through this auto rotate process.
It's crash.
It's a harrowing process, it sounds like. But was that the reason you were calling, or were you just kind of giving us a recap?
No. That I just wanted to update you on my adventures, I guess.
Well, we're glad you made it out okay.
Hey, I was making Ian wait to find out what this information was. What's that nut that's on the top of the rotor that holds the rotor on a helicopter?
That's called the Jesus nut.
And why is it called that?
Because if it comes loose, that's all you have time to say.
All right. Yeah. So
Okay.
So what else is up?
All right. I was calling about Goonerment, and I've mentioned Goonerment in the past, and it's spelled Goonerment, just like it sounds, Goonerment.
Mm-hmm.
That's my term for what other people call government. And I'm I would love to promote the idea to people. I'm sure most of your listeners are already on the page, or at least they've heard that now that we're in the 21st century and we have all the information at our fingertips, it's time to get rid of this 5,000-year-old expired idea that we need a group of people to tell us how to run our lives. Goonerment is obsolete. We don't need Goonerment anymore. We don't need goons telling us what to do with our lives. And I do support people like Ron Paul and Rand Paul. That's why I did the Ron Paul Corvette. So, because those people bring us a step closer to not having a government. And people have a hard time grasping this idea of no government. Because that's all we ever have known our whole lives. That's sure. We've known government our entire life. We can't imagine something without government. But just try and imagine any problem that has been solved by the Goonerment. And I can't think of one. There's no problem that has ever been solved by the Goonerment. So it's time to move on, people. It's time to evolve past this expired, tried, and failed idea that we can elect people that are just as valid, have just as many problems and faults as we do.
Oh, I wish we could elect people that have just as many faults as we do. I mean, that would be just think. It would be a huge upgrade from what we have if you just went around randomly assigning people. I suspect you might do better if you even just randomly assigned people from lunatic asylums and prisons than what we have for politicians currently. That might be hyperbole, and I don't think that would be the way to go. But random assignation would probably be more effective than what we have today. So I have a couple of things that I'd like to say here. Gene, and I do agree with you that the free market can solve problems better than the government can, but there's all kinds of situations that we have that govern our behavior. I mean, insurance policies govern our behavior. They govern what kind of assistance or relief or whatever we're going to get in a certain situation. So I have a fire insurance on my house, but if I go and intentionally set it on fire, they're not going to pay. And that's part of the governing document in our agreement. Wouldn't you say that that an involuntary government, or perhaps I use the term state to describe the hierarchical top-down form of government that we've had for the last 5,000 years, as you've mentioned? I just think that people are terrified when you say government, because everybody's been taught their whole lives that you got to have government, and I tend to agree that we do have to have government. You're going to have government, whether or not it's a democratic republic or whatever, because people are going to govern other people's behavior.
Well, I don't agree with you on that, because you don't have to have, and I find it quite revolting to think that I should need other people to govern my behavior. Why would I need that? It's certainly not something I want. I don't want other people governing my behavior, telling me how to behave and how not to behave.
Sure, but if somebody comes onto my property, intent on stealing my television set or something, they're going to find their behavior governed.
Shoot them.
That's
right.
Government. Government is an organization that claims a monopoly privilege on the use of violence in a given landmass.
That's not a government.
I claim the ability to use violence on my property.
Gene, if we could just go down a slightly different track, maybe do a thought experiment here. You use the word evolve, right? Like it's time to evolve beyond government. And I really agree. Like that idea. I think it is an evolution. If you look at the forms that government has taken since maybe, 2000 BC, if we're going back to ancient Egypt, do you see that the government has perhaps been a necessary step in human evolution, even if it was an ugly one? If you think about before well before the government, probably even before the agricultural revolution, you have this, Hobbesian natural state of people throwing rocks at each other, supposedly.
Right. Brutish and short. Life's being brutish and short.
Brutish, yes. Nasty, short. What do you think? Because just one more thing. I'm sorry. There has been. I mean, you would recognize that forms of government they seem to be regressing now as we have more ways, we have more curiosity and more scrutiny through, largely through technology, to see governments for what way they are. They seem to be showing their violent hand once more, especially in the West. But if you just take from the growth or the evolution of government from ancient Egypt up to, say, the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the establishment of the Constitution, you could possibly see an evolution in there, right? And that's something that could continue into the future until the state is obsolete. Or do you think I'm crazy?
Well, I think the evolution was at its peak when our founding fathers signed those documents. I think that was the peak of liberty in the whole world. But other than that, we've gone backwards ever since then. For 240 odd years or whatever, liberty has been. I attribute that to the failed idea of government. Even though it was a pretty good government, it constantly wants to grow and infringe on liberty and private property. That's just the nature of Goonerment. You're never going to change that nature, so the only solution is to get rid of Goonerment.
Right. So a small government is a particularly dangerous form of government because it allows for the maximum prosperity under a government, and then there's more for the government to suck off of. Yeah.
And I'd like to jump in here and say that at the time of the Declaration of Independence, in fact, the author thereof at the time owned people. So I don't know if I'm ready to go and say that the Declaration of Independence, although a fantastic rhetorical document, was the peak of human freedom.
Certainly there's some black folks out there that would disagree with that assessment.
Right. I'm going to go, and you're talking about 15% of the population or something.
Well, I agree that slavery is, of course, as far anti-liberty as you can get. And that was a failed idea. But don't blame the United States for slavery. I mean, slavery had been around for thousands of years. It was a failed institution, and it still is. And there's nobody today that is trying to bring back slavery that I know of. I've never met one. So this whole argument about slavery needs to go away. But you're right. Some of those people had slaves, not all of them. Certainly not all of them.
I only claim that Thomas Jefferson did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jefferson did, yeah. Yep. But Jefferson actually took good care of his slaves. He didn't neglect them, and he wanted to set them free. But in that political environment, it just wasn't going to work out. And there were some freed slaves back then.
Yeah.
And some of the freed slaves became slave owners themselves.
More coming up here in moments. If you got more, Gene, stand by. It's Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you've recently declared bankruptcy, you're going to want to cover your ears, because there's an alternative to bankruptcy, and it could be better than you'd ever think possible. But if you've already declared bankruptcy and have missed this opportunity, you'll want to cover your ears now. Here it is. Right now, the company that has resolved more credit card debt than anyone in the U.S. may be able to settle your debt, too. You could resolve your debt with one low monthly program payment. If you call right now and qualify, Freedom Debt Relief will show you how low your monthly program payment could be for free. Call now, 1-800-660-1581. That's 1-800-660-1581. If you're struggling with debt, this could be your answer. And the bigger your debt, the more money you could save. To find out for free how much of your hard-earned money Freedom Debt Relief could help you save, call now. 1-800-660-1581. 1-800-660-1581. 1-800-660-1581.
If food became scarce, would you be able to feed yourself and your family? Have you found some emergency food supplies can cost upwards of $300 for a month's supply? And worst of all, they're packed with chemicals and other unpronounceable ingredients. At NorthwestFork.com, our mission is to provide you with food that's not only healthy and natural, but also affordable. At NorthwestFork.com, for only $127, you can order meals that are naturally high in fiber, carbs, and protein, packaged in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for superior shelf life. For a limited time only, your order ships free. But that's not all. Enter promo code PREP10 to receive 10% off your entire order. Call 800-700-2184 today. NorthwestFork.com keeps prices low by buying directly from suppliers in the Pacific Northwest, then passing the savings to you. Go to NorthwestFork.com or call 800-700-2184 for the most cost-effective and healthy food storage solution. That's NorthwestFork.com at 800-700-2184.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free and join us on the radio where you can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and you can Skype on in here at Skype username LRN.FM. I do want to let you know about healthcare. It's pretty messed up in the United States, and like with the net neutrality situation, the government's not going to be able to fix this problem anytime soon because, well, they created the problem. And turns out you don't actually have to have health insurance. There are other options, including healthexcellenceselect.com. What you want to do is go to healthexcellenceselect.com, and you can learn more about what they've got there. It is freedom from health insurance, and they'll give you a proactive health assessment daily if you'd like, as well as no-charge 24-hour access to doctors, including doctors like traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and the price. Also, a medical information card that you can give to EMS, first responders, the emergency room, or whatever medical professional you want. So go to healthexcellenceselect.com. Again, that's healthexcellenceselect.com. We go back to Gene, the Christian anarchist. You're saying, Gene, we've got to move past, we've got to evolve past this idea of the coercive state. You used the term Goonerment. Mark came up with his usual objection to getting rid of government because people are afraid of that. But of course, if you propose getting rid of the state, they're going to be afraid of that too because, well, they've been trained to believe that they need the state. Even though they know that politicians are scum and liars and untrustworthy and they're bad in general, they still believe that there's some sort of benefit to having the state, that if only they could put their people in charge of it, then it would work well.
Well, there's a psychological consideration that's really important here as well, and I think about this a lot as somebody who focuses on the schools versus education and self-sufficiency on my show. Right. The state has generation after generation going back at least and I think the beginning of the public schools was really an intensification of this. They have built dependence into people, and more people are existing in this shadow that sooner or later is going to come down. This building that the people are in the shadow of, sooner or later it's going to come down on its own. It's not sustainable long term. All great nations and all great civilizations eventually collapse. So
under
they
their
say
own
that
weight of
failing nations
often.
What is it? Failing nations collect laws like dogs do fleas. I can't remember exactly what it was. We posted it up on Free Talk Live's Facebook page
sounds like
recently.
a good quote.
But it was essentially that when a state begins to fail, it begins to legislate more heavily. And consider there's 40,000 new laws every year here in the United States. Maybe that's happening now.
So there was an old saying that was part of like the Rothbard, Harry Brown. Lots of people had the push the button debate. I remember the three of us had it on this show one night a couple of years ago. I'm sure it wasn't the only time it occurred on this show.
Nope.
But this idea or the saying was that as soon as that you push the button and the state goes away, there's a demand for it, or it's up and running again the next day. And if you think about the dependence that government builds into people, and I didn't believe this a few years ago, and I'm really questioning it now, the catastrophes that could occur if it were, I guess this is leading up to the question, Gene, how do you propose this happens? Because I don't think that if it happened overnight.
How does he propose the evolution past the state?
What does the evolution look like in your mind, Gene?
Well, I'd like to go over Mark's contract, but I would think that the evolution, we kind of missed the window in 2008 because that was the evolution. Ron Paul for president would have been the evolution that would have resulted in less government and that downward trend towards liberty. But we missed the boat. Now we got Donald Trump, or we could have had Hillary Clinton. Either way, it's a nightmare. So, but I would like to address Mark's question regarding contract without a Goonerment and how that can work.
But before you get into that, you didn't really answer Brett's question. Your answer was, well, we could have done it in 2008. So, are you saying that it's not possible now?
I was feeling quietly unsatisfied with that because Ron Paul, who's to even say that he, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I am one, that he would survive, his first term without being assassinated. You think about putting somebody who rocks the boat so significantly into that position. First of all, there's no way it ever could have happened. I don't believe.
If he would have been elected, it would have shown an electorate that was far more mature than the one that we had.
Right.
Like the one that we had said, wow, that guy looks really great in a suit and gives a good speech. And it's going to show something about our societal evolution if we elect him or something.
So I'm going to disagree about whether Ron Paul could have gotten elected, because I honestly believe that he would have been elected if it weren't for the bias in the media. And we all have seen the videos of how biased the media was towards Ron Paul. And that's the reason he lost that election. But anyway, how will the evolution occur today? I don't see it. I don't see an evolution occurring today. All I see coming now is a huge collapse, which is what I saw coming before Ron Paul.
That's what Conan's saying. He's preparing for the end.
And but Mark, your question, how would contract work with, and I know you've heard this before.
No, I'm not asking how contracts would work. I'm asking this, Gene, just to be clear on my question. You can answer whatever question you want. It'll probably be enlightening when you do. I just want to make sure that I'm only disputing the term. When you say that humans can't live without government, I would say that humans can live without government. I would say that the accurate thing to say is that humans can live without the state, the form of government that we've had up to this point that we've all sort of looked at as government. But that we have governments that are voluntary, that we interact with on a regular basis all the time. And so that we should use the terminology, we are attempting to do away with the state, not that we're attempting to
those voluntary interactions are basically contracts. So
they are.
You can have a contract without a Goonerment. And the way a contract is enforced is by the parties of the contract agree to the enforcement procedure. It's part of the contract. So if you sign an agreement with me to paint my house, in the contract it says what I can do if you don't paint my house properly. See? So I can, in the contract, it would say something like I could hire an arbitrary board to come in and tell you got to pay me X amount of money, and if that doesn't work, then there's going to be an enforcement.
I'd just like to say I like what you both have to say on this issue, and I'm kind of torn between them because I get where Mark's coming from. Mark wants to sort of protect the word government to possibly be used to describe what you're talking about, which would be that contract as a governing contract. But you,
Goonerment.
But Gene, you are pointing out that you're talking about government as in this this group of men and women that are ruling arbitrarily over people, which Mark is saying no, that should be the state. And I get you both. I appreciate the call tonight. Thank you for weighing in. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. I'm wondering, Mark, I've always enjoyed your perspective on this, but I wonder, if you did a poll of the American people, would they respond differently to the question of, well, would you like to get rid of the government or would you like to get rid of the state? Would there actually be a significant difference?
Well, I can tell you this. I've got years worth of experience of being here on the radio and attempting to massage this terminology. It's my job to deliver this message, which is fringe at best to people who are not necessarily looking to hear it. And if we can use the Socratic method and agree on terms here, then maybe I can do that job a little more easily than people running around going, anarchist, burn this government, that kind of thing.
855-450-FREE like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
Nearly 1/3 of FBI domestic terrorism cases involve refugees. 1/3. There's already been riots across Europe. Is America next? Hi, I'm the owner of Infidel Body Armor. Over the past 4 years, I've sold thousands of body armor kits and trained hundreds of sheepdogs. They have prepared. Have you? I invite you to go to my website at infidelbodyarmor.com and click on specials. Trouble is coming. Now do something about it. infidelbodyarmor.com. Just won't quit.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA-packed technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719 That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free to join us. If you would like, you can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. If you want to help build a better financial system for everyone, join Dash. Dash is digital cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, private, and easy. Fees are low, transactions are fast, and can be confirmed instantly. You can even pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies on the dollar. Fees are much lower with Dash than they are for Bitcoin. Dash is decentralized and run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the Dash network. Join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. Take back control over your financial future today and find out more at dash.org. That again is dash.org.
Dash Force News reports 1,800 different Austrian post offices now have Dash for sale. So you can get Dash, all over Austria.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Check out Dash Force News for the latest headlines from the Dash world. It's dashforcenews.com. They did an interview with me the other day, Joel Valenzuela, one of their reporters. I haven't had a chance yet to post that on Free Keen or Free Talk Live, but it's on my to-do list. Meanwhile, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Socrates. He's on the line via Skype. Hello, Socrates. Hello. Socrates on Skype. Going once. Socrates in
I was muted. I'm sorry about that, guys.
There you are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me follow up on the last caller. The term slavery was brought up, and Thomas Jefferson probably isn't the best example of someone that, took care of his slaves but you could give Ben Franklin as a better counterexample, seeing as not only did Ben Franklin inherit slaves that he didn't want, but he instantaneously freed them. Just putting that out.
There was a political context. I'm not defending Thomas Jefferson, obviously, but there was a political context that was different, Jefferson being from Virginia and Franklin being from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference.
And Ben Franklin was also kind of a jet setter. He liked to go to Europe and have weird satanic sex parties and stuff. So hard to manage a plantation while you're doing that.
How do you have 14 groundbreaking innovations in science? 14 inventions in different areas of science while going to satanic sex parties? Seems a little bit more harder than keeping up a plantation.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good point. I stand corrected there. I think sex parties, I don't think that's like a 24/7 thing. I think they're actually better when you don't do them that way. You make it like an occasional treat. There was travel. I'm saying he had to travel for them.
If you could find scientist slaves, he could add so much more.
And you can do science anywhere. A plantation is stationary.
Well, that may be true, but I guess it comes to the point that he didn't decide to take his slaves along with him. He decided to free them instantaneously and not blame them on debt or having affairs with them.
Sure.
But it kind of defeats the point. I actually wanted to call because I kind of had evolution in my original thinking in terms of the Islamic controversy that's coming into here.
Okay.
People, there seems to be an obvious distinction between Islam that creates suicide bombers and Islam that does not. And of course, I'm talking about how Sunni extremism generally leads to suicide bombs. And I don't think there's been a Shiite suicide bombing attack in the last 20 years in the Western world. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I have no idea. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I did want to actually ask Ian, Mark, you guys, your opinions on this. I do think that there actually is grounds to prevent if a government is to quote unquote allow people from certain areas to come in. Ideally, you would want private property owners to establish their own borders. But since government is creating arbitrary borders, they might as well enforce them into the way that might be practical, right? So
That might be what?
Kind of goes
Practical?
Yeah, into a practical, meaning that you invite people into your country that generally are going to be apt to integrating into the society and not creating what you could see in London, where you have these subsections of these no-go zones where these cultures of Islam, where Sunni Islam, where they all
wasn't
integrate
that
with
found to be false? That whole no-go zone thing. I feel like somebody called about that and it was like total BS.
Tim Pool investigated that very claim. Tim Pool is not an anarchist, not a right winger. He's actually kind of considered a left wing journalist. It's actually considered to be true. There are areas. It's not no go into literally like police don't go in there. It's just that police generally need an escort from a second police officer into some areas of Sweden, where there's these concentrated neighborhoods of Islam immigrants. It's not quote unquote the Syrian rebels or anything like that, but it is a larger problem based on this migration crisis.
And you're saying the no-go zones are in London? Is that what you said?
They're in Sweden.
In Sweden. Well, I mean, according to Snopes.com, it says that.
Oh no! Don't do the cat lady.
It says that one of the most persistent myths about crime in Sweden is that some areas are so dangerous due to outlaw asylum seekers that the police can't enter them. And then they give an example in a tabloid from the UK from 2017 in February that says, quote, "The shocking attack of bottles being thrown at police on the on-duty officers is just one of many incidents, as officials have placed more than 50 areas on a no-go zone list where they admit they do not have control. Lawless thugs are wreaking havoc unchecked, and officers are often at personal risk when entering the crisis-hit areas," unquote.
Socrates, that just sounds difficult for me to imagine that any state says, oh, yeah, well, we've just kind of let that particular area go and we're not going to send our people in there. I mean, the worst places in the United States, yeah, there might be a period of time when the officers pull back, but then they go in and force and they make it very, very clear who's in charge.
There seems to be a different culture. Hold on one second, point. Socrates.
Okay, go ahead.
There does seem to be a different culture in Scandinavia and other places in Europe where, because I've been observing this for a while, and my whole affect here is like, I'd rather gather the most amount of information possible about this, even if it leads to us having to say things that might be uncomfortable and then trying to understand what they mean. I do understand that in Scandinavian countries, Sweden particularly, they scrubbed ethnic data from crime stats, right? So it almost appears like there has been an effort to, well, not an effort, a burying of heads in the sand, almost like not wanting to admit there's a problem here because it's impolitic or it will seem intolerant. And I think that it really just needs to be uncovered and examined for what it is. And, telling the truth about it or looking at it critically does not mean one is intolerant or bigoted or racist or Islamophobic or any of these things. I want the information. I want to understand what's going on in that part of the world. And it just becomes so polarized so quickly in every discussion that I hear about.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything that we get is coming from somebody else. I mean,
exactly.
We don't live there, so we
well,
have to...
yeah, but I mean, there's articles, and I'm reading the article here from BuzzFeed, not exactly the greatest source in the world, how the myth of lawless no-go zones in Sweden won't die, from the Atlantic, a very good publication when it comes to journalism, why the Muslim no-go zone myth won't die, the local.se, embassy no-go zones do not exist in Sweden. That's a Swedish
They're saying these are myths.
Right.
These are, yeah, there are.
I mean, if you wrote a story about Compton or Liberty City in the late 80s and early 90s, what would you have said about it? Go ahead, Socrates.
Well, no, that's a great point. We do have no-go zones literally in the United States. Not like outside Chicago, there's two cities. There's a city called Gary, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary, Indiana, and East St. Louis are actually two cities where we have modern no-go zones. Police tell you to to not stop at stop signs and not stop at red lights. And if you've ever seen the Palace Theater in Gary, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but does that mean the police aren't there? I thought the idea of the no-go zone was that the police don't go there. Thanks for the call tonight, Socrates. There's more coming up. Free Talk Live.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is digital cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com is better than ever. I'm Pat Matthews, here to tell you that BuySellMakeOffer.com, the revolutionary site for buying and selling anything and everything, just upped the ante. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and click the Sign Me Up button. When you do, you'll get the first month free, and then it's just $9.95 a month to be a member forever. And you don't need a credit card for the initial setup. Create your own store on the site and sell whatever you want, as long as it's legal, however you want, and sell an unlimited number of items. Create your own intro video to describe what your store is all about. Use Skype to see who you're buying from or selling to. Sell unused household items, as well as antiques, cars, televisions, collectibles, real estate. The possibilities are unlimited. Use social networks to promote your store right from our site. Remember, there are never any fees, no matter how much you sell. Become a member today. I'm a member. Get all your friends to sign up, too. This could become a great business for you. Sell whatever you want for the first 30 days, free at BuySellMakeOffer.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. You dial on in toll free here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. We had a gentleman bring up the so-called no-go zones, And Daryl was actually listening in the other room. He came in here and got in.
Our inestimable researcher, Daryl, he's really great at this.
Because he remembers all kinds of details. And I just remembered, wait a minute, didn't we debunk that? And he specifically remembered what the debunking was. It was this guy who, and I found out the dude's name. I did manage to look this up. Again, another Snopes article, this one entitled Crime in Sweden this one entitled Sharia Law Muslim No-Go Zones. The rumor is that several European and American cities have been designated Islamic no-go zones where Sharia law prevails, and they say that is false. They had this character, Steve Emerson, a supposed self-styled terrorism expert. He claimed that a number of Muslim no-go zones existed in areas of the U.S., England, France, and other Western countries. This was during a Fox News segment. According to Emerson, Sharia law essentially overrode the laws of those countries in which said zones were located, and local police avoided interceding in the affected areas.
I don't know how Sharia law could override laws in, I'm thinking specifically the United States. So let's take Dearborn, your highest Muslim concentration in the United States. How would Sharia law override U.S. law or Michigan law in that place?
I mean, they would have to get a bunch of Muslims in charge of the law, the government, and then they would have to implement it and use force and violence to enforce it on people, just like any other law.
Yeah. Does anybody think that's happening?
But that's not the purpose of Sharia law. That would require some very extremist Muslims who've misunderstood the point of Sharia law. We've had Will Coley.
And I'm sure there's plenty of them running around. They seem to have been set up a caliphate.
But there's not enough
Levant.
of them to get elected in the United States.
No, I don't. I mean, if a store chooses to not sell pork in a given geographic area because it would offend their customers, that's that store's business.
Emerson claimed, quote, well, these no-go zones exist not only in France, but they exist throughout Europe. They're sort of amorphous. They're not contiguous necessarily, but they're sort of safe havens, and they're places where the governments like France, Britain, Sweden, Germany don't exercise any sovereignty, he said. So you basically have zones where Sharia courts were set up, where Muslim density is very intense, where the police don't go in, and it's where it's basically a separate country almost, a country within a country, unquote. He continued by insinuating authorities in areas as France and the UK denied the existence of no-go zones in their countries and claimed the entire city of Birmingham, England, was one such example of a no-go zone in which the non-Muslim residents were not permitted. He said, quote, in Britain, it's not just no-go zones. There are actual cities like Birmingham that are totally Muslim where non-Muslims just simply don't go in. And parts of London, there are actually Muslim religious police that actually beat and actually wound seriously anyone who doesn't dress according to religious Muslim attire. So there's a situation that Western Europe is not dealing with. In response, British Prime Minister David Cameron termed Emerson a complete idiot.
So, okay, it's what I could see happening is if you go into an area where the concentration of enough religious nut jobs in a given area, and then you do something. Let's say that you walk around in a bikini, or in my case, a Speedo, or whatever it might be. I don't think that it's as offensive as men running around in Speedos as it is women running around bikinis. So let's say a woman goes wears a bikini in some place, some foreign place I don't know about, because I imagine in Dearborn it'd be a real problem. It would be they'd be able to get away with it. But I've heard about these sorts of things happening in London where people get hurt because they, for whatever reason, they run afoul of the religious nuts in that particular area. So if that happens, then I would consider that to be a big problem. If somebody comes up and says, I don't like the way you're dressed, well, tough. You went out in public.
Emerson ended up retracting his statements about the no-go zones in a statement that he published on his website, investigativeproject.org. Quote, I have clearly made a terrible error for which I am deeply sorry. My comments about Birmingham were totally in error, and I'm issuing this apology and correction for having made this comment about the beautiful city of Birmingham. I do not intend to justify or mitigate my mistake by stating that I had relied on other sources because I should have been much more careful. There was no excuse for making this mistake, and I owe an apology to every resident of Birmingham. I'm not going to make any excuses. I made an inexcusable error, and I am obligated to openly acknowledge that mistake. I wish to apologize for all residents of that great city of Birmingham. From Steve Emerson. P.S. I'm making a donation to Birmingham Children's Hospital.
I think just to zoom out a little bit here, there's another problem, and we were talking about this during the break, and it's interesting. I think it's worth pointing out that we went off the air. Daryl came in. We started talking about this, and within 60 seconds, three of us were hooting and hollering in here about this. These identity issues are incredibly volatile for whatever reason. Yeah. And we have to pause and think that issues that create that kind of that emotion and otherizing in people are very politically useful. So if you find yourself getting sucked into either side of these things, I think it's just worth, taking a pause and thinking about that. Why so many of these types of conflicts are being perpetuated right now. I'm not saying I have the answer to that why. I'm just saying it's worth considering, and it's worth sort of assessing how it affects each one of us individually.
Well, but the reason is because cultures clash, right?
Cultures, well, I mean, that's the thing. So we have this phrase called no-go zone, right? Which is a slogan. It's a sort of nebulous,
like an alt-right slogan at this point.
But it's a nebulous concept, and one of the reasons why people that we might call xenophobes or alt-righters or right-wingers would latch on to no-go zone is because it describes a complex problem in a very quick and simple way. It puts handles on something that is complex and amorphous and hard to move, and it says, here, this is the problem. You can just take it and pass it on to the next person. No-go zone, finger quotes, right? That might not actually exist. So just because no-go zones are debunked doesn't mean that there aren't cultural problems, whether they stem from certain radical aspects of certain sects of Islam or European countries weakening because they turn towards socialism, which often becomes a huge cultural problem. But I think there's a lot more at play here.
But there's a big difference between some uncomfortable factors between different cultures living nearby one another and the abject fear that you're going to be beaten on the streets in some sort of no-go zone, right? Like there's a huge raft of difference between those two.
Let me ask you this. My good friend Julian, whom you've met, lived in a neighborhood just outside of Bedford-Stuy.
That's New York, right?
Bed-Stuy was known to be a pretty bad place in the mid to late 80s. And he got beaten up and robbed twice walking home through there. Would you say that if you were sitting around, not on the radio, but just sitting around with some friends in 1992, let's presume you were an adult, and you said, oh, that Bed-Stuy, man, it's a real no-go zone. Do you think using that shorthand, as Brett has called it here, would be a fair thing to say?
Well, that would be a recommendation as far as you might not want to go to this place. It may be a high-crime area, but that's different than saying the police have dubbed this a no-go zone and they won't go there. The suggestion there is that it's so bad. The suggestion is it's so bad.
But the police did dub Detroit a no-go zone essentially from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., did they not?
There's certain areas in Detroit where the police aren't providing service. That's
what
true.
What do you call that?
That's true. It's a failed city in that particular case.
That's kind of what's being alleged here, is that the policing department...
But it has nothing to do with Muslims in the case of Detroit.
It doesn't matter. It has to do with a failed government, and that's essentially what's being talked about here. In one case, it's saying, hey...
But here it's just conjecture. Here it's a lie, whereas what you're talking about is a real news story about the police.
The caller specifically said, East St. Louis. I mean, I saw a documentary where wild dogs have, taken out some kids in East St. Louis. I think it's safe to call it an S-hole, okay? I mean, I don't...
It's fine.
I'm not trying...
And the police Louis may agree with
I'm
you.
not
I don't
saying
know.
that all Muslims must die.
This is
because
about
St. Louis is a
propaganda
mess.
versus the truth, right? So the propaganda is these are no-go zones because of Muslims.
Because of Sharia or the expansion of it, yeah.
The truth is they're not no-go zones. No one in those police departments has ever said it. The rest of the story here from the other Snopes piece is that Swedish police were quick to tell us that these so-called no-go zones do not exist. The term originated with a newspaper columnist, Per Gudmundsson, who used it to refer to a police report identifying problem areas in the country where there's a criminal milieu. In these areas, there's high crime, low socioeconomic status, and lack of social integration. There's a little bit more here. We can get into it. Your calls and thoughts are welcome, though, at 855-450, free like freedom. Hour number 3 is coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
You have probably heard about Bitcoin and virtual currencies, but you really don't know what to do next. Maybe you feel like they have already passed you by. Nothing could be further from the truth. Bitcoin is an emerging technology still. It's still in beta and it's sweeping the globe. All the information that you need to learn about Bitcoin is at bitcoin.com. Go to your browser, type in bitcoin.com, choose a wallet program, get Bitcoins, and then spend Bitcoins. Bitcoin.com, the only site you need to know for virtual currencies. Bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. Silver is trading at $15.77 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,215 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,373. Antiwar.com reports in a particularly embarrassing case of U.S. allies torturing detainees. A video was leaked to the Turkish media showing fighters in the Kurdish YPG torturing at least 2 captive Arabs during interrogation. The video is reportedly from the end of May and in the Mansoura district west of Raqqa. It shows the YPG forces kicking and stomping on the prisoners, demanding information about the location of the Islamic State fighters as one of the detainees screams that he doesn't know anything about it. Kurdish officials have confirmed the authenticity of the video. Exactly what that leads to is unclear, as the Kurdish self-protection body describes the acts as the torture of one of the Islamic State mercenaries, but offered no details of how they decided that's what the detainees were, let alone why they only mentioned one torture when the video clearly shows 2 people getting stomped. The Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the YPG, suggested it was an individual act and that they would be held responsible if they were identified. The U.S. says they don't condone the actions in the video and suggested an investigation might take place through the Pentagon's legal branch. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Takata has recalled 2.7 million airbags, joining 42 million affected vehicles in the largest safety notice ever in the automotive industry because of a new hazard. The latest recalls announced on Tuesday involve Ford, Nissan, and Mazda models from 2005 to 2012, ones the Japanese manufacturer originally thought were safe. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said Takata is taking this action out of an abundance of caution, though it has received no reports of any field ruptures and has not experienced any as a result of the field evaluation program. The latest recall for the first time involves airbags that use calcium sulfate as a drying agent. The inflator can combust in an overaggression manner, potentially rupturing and causing harm, according to a filing Takata submitted to the Highway Safety Administration. The first defective devices were recalled by Honda in 2008. More than 70 million inflators have been recalled, sometimes involving the same vehicle more than once. At least 17 deaths worldwide, including 12 in the United States, have been linked to Takata inflators. On June 26th, the company announced it was filing for bankruptcy protection in Japan and the United States and selling off its assets. It has established an $850 million fund to refund cost of airbag recalls and replacement costs incurred by affected auto manufacturers. Ford has not announced the models of the 2.2 million vehicles recalled and has 5 days to respond to the Takata filing. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Tuesday ruled that the government cannot immediately deport nearly 200 Iraqi immigrants arrested last month who argued they would face persecution if they were removed from the country. U.S. District Judge Mark Goldsmith in Michigan said he had the authority to order the government to keep the Iraqis in the country while their deportation cases were reviewed by the courts. In his ruling, Goldsmith said sending the Iraqis back now would expose them to a substantiated risk of death, torture, or other grave persecution before their legal claims can be tested in court. Many of the 199 Iraqis detained, largely in the Detroit area, but also Tennessee, New Mexico, and California, were Chaldean Catholics or Iraqi Kurds. Both groups said they could be targets for attacks in Iraq because they are visible minorities. The government is seeking to deport more than 1,400 Iraqis across the country. The actions are part of the Trump administration efforts to increase immigration enforcement and make countries take back nationals ordered out of the United States. Goldsmith said federal courts were first responders if constitutional rights were under threat, and the Iraqis' extraordinary circumstances gave him the power to block their deportation. A Department of Justice spokeswoman declined comment. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Poets across the nation issued a statement Thursday announcing that shadows, inky sharp as the raven's beak, meet the clouds like dusty charcoal on an ashen brow. Citing the ageless gloom of morning and a weary sun, its astroluminescence wrapped in arid gauze, the report noted that doubt lingers in the frail minutes of a young dawn.
For what is the sound of hope? For what is life's moment of fulfillment? The supple lie of spring prolongs the inquisition. Father! Father! Do you not sense the dread of autumn's looming song danced in trembling half-step? 1, 2, 1, 2.
The poets later added, womb, womb, womb. And in local news, a sad sack is bullied by an area goose. In other news, a photographer specializes in those pictures where lights going by really fast look like lines. An entree is apparently the kind you squeeze lime over, and employees finally get that break room bathtub they wanted.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. As always, you can bring up anything you want. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Still to come, the so-called smart device that called the cops on a domestic dispute that it was overhearing. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Brett.
And Mark.
We're going to go to your calls and thoughts. In the last hour, Socrates called in. He brought up the no-go zones, which, as I recalled, was basically BS. And we found some of the stories where one of the guys who was originally on Fox News reporting about the so-called no-go zones recanted what he said later on in a statement on his website. And we can tell you what the Swedish police had to say about it coming up here in moments. But first, let's go to Tom. He's in Baltimore, listening online. Hello, Tom.
Yeah, I was on hold since the last caller, and I caught parts of what you guys were talking about, and I agree with Mark. And I was going to agree with the last caller. I don't know how they're exactly defining a quote-unquote no-go zone, but there certainly exist in the States areas that are so under-policed because they're so undesirable that you could consider it a place similar to what you were describing as a no-go zone. In fact, as evidence, let me present this to you.
Well, just before you go on, you used to be a cop in Baltimore. Was that the case in Baltimore? Were there areas where your department was told you shouldn't go there?
Well, you're not told you're not supposed to go there, but let me give you an example.
So it's not policy?
No, no, it certainly couldn't be. But it's so adhered to simply out of human nature because police, like anyone else, for the most part, prefer not to be under assault, literally and figuratively, their entire tour or shift, as you might call it. So take, for example, Patterson Park, and there are many parks throughout Baltimore City. We used to have, and this is what I was going to give you as evidence, many police departments, you'll notice, have divisions. You'll have, like New York, for example. I don't know why they did away with it, but at one point in time, at least when I was working, they had transit police, they had housing authority police, they had the PSA, the police service area police, the police you'd see on the street, and they all went to the same police academy, and they came out and they were assigned to these different divisions. Now, there was transferring among them, but because a lot of people didn't want to work like a tunnel rat, they had to form that. In Chicago, they paid the housing police, I think, $3,000 a year more than their regular police because it was such an undesirable place to be. They had to have special training. There's no way to secure a stairwell in these high-rise buildings, so you're taking extra risk. So I think they deserve that extra pay. But as time went on, park police is another division. But as time went on, like in Baltimore, you got rid of the park police. You simply merged them into one department. It's all about money, by the way. They want to get the money centralized so it's easier to steal. And what you'll find is they don't cover those areas once they consolidate. And Patterson Park, my grandmother used to be able to sleep there. You wouldn't want to walk through there during the day now. So that's what happens to these areas. And in Baltimore, if you want to see where all the murders, where all the riots took place, it's all in the housing authority area. Because when they merged the housing police, they never replaced them. My question is this: where did the millions and millions of dollars go that they were getting from the federal government? It's never been accounted for.
So one of my thoughts here is that oftentimes when you're saying that places are under-policed, but when you over-police an area, you'll find that the denizens of a particular area tend to become very short-tempered with the police. And is it possible to over-police at the same time?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll tell you this: I am absolutely opposed to being a revenue generator, writing tickets, collecting revenue. I don't like ordinances. I don't like enforcing a lot of statutory law. These things make you an enemy of the public that you want to have embrace you.
Right. You want them to help you out.
You can over-police an area to the point where they hate you just for that. And who wouldn't?
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many areas where if the cops go and try to ask for help investigating a real crime like a murder, people won't even answer the door. They don't want to talk to the cops. They don't trust them.
Right, and so often it really does come down to the money issue. All of these laws, the drug laws, I'm so sick of people talking about fighting a drug war that clearly was never legal in the first place. Listen, if they can tell you what not to put in your body, how long do you think it's going to be before they can tell you what you will put in your body? It's coming. Mm-hmm. It's coming if we don't stand up for what our rights are. And you never hear anybody ask when they suggest new laws in the Congress, in the Senate, wherever, local. I watch these local governments metastasize like cancer. And no one ever says, do we have the legal authority to do this? And does it make sense to do this? They just grow. These local governments are like cancers.
Sure. They just do whatever they want, and then they hope they don't get called on it. And every now and then somebody finally, gets arrested who can afford the attorney, or the ACLU provides one, and they finally push back against.
But the thing is, Ann, they become such a juggernaut at a certain point that they're almost impossible to stop.
You can't fight City Hall. There's a reason why that phrase exists. They are very hard to stop. Thank you, Tom, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. According to the story at Snopes about the no-go zones, Eric Jansaker, the police chief in Malmö's southern areas, told us the term no-go zone has never appeared in their reports, and that Gunnarsson admits as much in his column.
That's
However,
because they don't write English.
Since he used it, the term has taken hold in the popular imagination. Jansaker's jurisdiction includes two problem areas, Malmö neighborhoods Rosengård and Seved. He told us that local investigators have been overwhelmed with the caseload from 14 recent murders. 8 to 10 in the same time span would be normal for the area, but there aren't areas, that there aren't areas where police can't go. To drive this point home, one of Jansaker's employees, Officer Johannes Schultz, took us along his regular foot patrol of Rosengård, one of these bad areas. He walked briskly and frequently stopped to greet or chat briefly with citizens. One little boy stepped in his path to ask for a high five, and Schultz happily obliged. Another child on a scooter smiled at him and sought his attention by calling shyly, "Johannes." Schultz said hello. People were out walking, and children crowded playgrounds. He says, "You're in the no-go zone," he said jokingly. "Are you scared?" "Me neither." It's clear that Schultz and other officers in his cohort spend a lot of time in the neighborhood, and he described going out and talking to school children in an effort to build rapport, and every other person he passed seemed to not only know him, but to like him. Despite the negative attention, Schultz said that Rosengård is a tight-knit community where people look out for each other.
Schultz, you can't expect this guy to know what he's talking about. He knows nothing!
Can we agree? Do we have consensus, at least at this table, that there's a little bit too much being hung up on the term no-go zone, and debunking the existence of no-go zones doesn't necessarily eliminate the idea that there's a problem, right? Like, obviously, the BuzzFeeds or the Huffington Post or the Young Turks of the world love this story because with what sinks to the bottom of the ocean with the idea of no-go zone is that there's any problem at all. And I think it's fair to acknowledge that there is a problem. Fact number one, people move. Right. Fact number two, people move for certain incentives. And those incentives, especially in the socialist countries of Europe, have changed dramatically over the last quarter century. Fact number three, cultures clash. There's nothing controversial about any of these things. And just like looking at this problem honestly, instead
but a culture
of
clash doesn't necessarily translate to, you're going to get murdered.
Absolutely, no. And if somebody's saying that, they're fear-mongering. I mean, it could be a part of it.
But that's what this is all about. The no-go zone thing is pure fear-mongering. There's more coming up here.
It's not pure.
Yes, it is. They've debunked it.
Cultural clashes going on.
There's more coming up. That's different than you're going to get killed or raped just because you're walking down the street. 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go, go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-768-3138. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now, 1-800-768-3138. That's 1-800-768-3138.
If food became scarce, would you be able to feed yourself and your family? Have you found some emergency food supplies can cost upwards of $300 for a month's supply? And worst of all, they're packed with chemicals and other unpronounceable ingredients. At NorthwestFork.com, our mission is to provide you with food that's not only healthy and natural, but also affordable. At NorthwestFork.com, for only $127, you can order meals that are naturally high in fiber, carbs, and protein, packaged in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for superior shelf life. For a limited time only, your order ships free. But that's not all. Enter promo code PREP10 to receive 10% off your entire order. Call 800-700-2184 today. NorthwestFork.com keeps prices low by buying directly from suppliers in the Pacific Northwest, then passing the savings to you. Go to NorthwestFork.com or call 800-700-2184 for the most cost-effective and healthy food storage solution. That's NorthwestFork.com at 800-700-2184.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype. You can Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. It's Ian, Brett, and Mark in the studio here tonight. Mark, you mentioned that you got a donation for hope.freetalklive.com there during the break.
Yeah, we got some. We've been doing pretty well. We're raising for the next phase. The next phase is $3,000.
Phase of what?
The building of the orphanage in Jinja, Uganda. So
Okay.
Free Talk Live is working with Cell 411 and Jax.io to build an orphanage for about 45 kids in Jinja, Uganda. And the workers, we fund it, they do the work. They buy the supplies and they
I'm
do
good
the
at
work.
doing that.
Yeah. And
Not
they
so good at work.
just finished the concrete floor of the second floor. So soon we'll be seeing the supports go up for the columns for the second floor. Then I think they put the roof on, then they finish the walls. I'm not entirely sure of the order that these things are going to go in, but that's what we're working towards right now is funding for that particular phase. And I'm at I haven't done the math, but call it 400 of the 3,000 raised. So I need about $2,600 in order to move on to the next phase. So if you're out there and you want to see 45 kids have a place to, a real bed of their own rather than sleeping on the floor head to toe in a dark room with no electricity. They're going to have a bed. They're going to have electricity. They're going to have a place to put their stuff. They're going to be able to wash their face so that they can go to school. And there's a garden outside so that they can raise vegetables so that they can fund the school into the future. They'll own the building, but as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be their job to fund operations after that. So please go to hope.freetalklive.com. I want to help these kids. I want them to have an opportunity. Hope.freetalklive.com. We're all lucky. Our children are lucky to have been born here and, take advantage of so many of these things. They're not so lucky. Hope.freetalklive.com.
And it was our caller earlier, Socrates, who made that donation, which was then tripled by double matching.
That's right.
So getsell411.com, jax.io, they have ponied up this extra money. So you donate $10, it becomes $30.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to Socrates and all the listeners out there.
So once again, that's hope.freetalklive.com. Let's talk to Scott, who has been waiting for a little bit here, patiently, hopefully, in Massachusetts. Scott, the Bigot, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, good evening, Mark, Ian, and Brett. People that are wondering about America, its government, and all the craziness, we have to realize that in a few words, we're a Zionist-occupied government. And to those who do not understand that, in layman's terms, your government is controlled by and for the Jews.
Starting when?
It's so complicated.
For those of us who are novice to this, I mean, there's a lot about this subject that I do know about.
Because you're a conspiracy guy. You like to research them, right?
Not to even call it. I mean, I guess this does fall into the realm.
This is total
of
conspiracy.
Don't call it a conspiracy. I've been here for years.
All right. So, Scott, Zionist-occupied government starting when? Just help me understand this blind spot for me.
I would say that the Zionist-occupied government has been here for, I would say, go back as far as a century. It's always been here.
How did it get here? That's what I need to know. Like, tell me.
It came here from the Rothschilds from Eastern Europe. They controlled the banking industry. When I mean who's they, Paul Warburg, who founded the Federal Reserve System in 1913. The Rothschilds were primarily in Europe, but they sent their agents here in America. You got Jacob Schiff, who was a Jewish banker on Wall Street.
So through banking, all right. So, but how do these ideas permeate culture? Banking, having Jewish bankers like the Rothschilds doesn't. Right. I'm just asking, how does that get into the minds and the hearts of the American people, a Zionist agenda? Not through banking.
Through control of the press. The Jews control the press. They through the New York Times, the Sulzberger family owns the New York Times.
Now, when you say the press,
Michael,
you mean just the newspapers?
I mean everything. The Jews control everything.
I'm pretty sure they don't control this radio show or the radio stations that it's on.
Oh yes, they control from the New York Times to Michael Bloomberg.
I've worked in radio all my life.
Are you saying
to Hollywood? That's the media.
Okay, yeah. So let's unpack Hollywood a little bit. And again, I'm just expressing curiosity here.
Yeah.
A lot of the Jews, like the Warners, who came, from really war-torn, or like a lot of the Jews came from places in Eastern Europe where they were really poor. So one of the things that it seemed like a lot of them wanted to do, especially when they had lots of social and economic problems in their first stop in the United States, in New York, remember, in the first couple decades of the 20th century, Jews were treated as badly as Irish people and Italians. In fact, the WASPs tried to prove, and this was not just, WASPs on the street. This was in academia. They tried to prove that the Jews were actually some form of Negro. Their books were written about it. So
they were Oriental.
Okay, but when a lot of the filmmakers, the Xanax and the Warners, left and set up in California, one of the things that I understand, this is talked about in Neil Gabler's book, but it's also talked about in a book we mentioned earlier in this show, Renegade History of the United States by Thaddeus Russell. They wanted to disconnect themselves from their Jewishness because all it had ever caused them in life was problems. So they made a lot of public statements like, I'm not going to help Jews. I don't want anything to do with Jews. I want to forget being Jewish. Is this a ruse? Is this a shtick or a scam?
No, they wanted to do that. They wanted to do that so that they could appear to get rid of their Jewishness, because every country in the world that they went to threw them out. No country ever wanted them.
Well, they never had a state.
And they're wearing their welcome out in America now.
Okay, but Jews have never had.
I would like to go on record as welcoming Jews to come to America. Please bring your hardworking butts here. Stop giving all that revenue to the state of Israel. Bring it here to the United States and live the American dream and build something better.
Scott doesn't speak for anybody here.
He doesn't speak for me.
Nightmare.
What is the end game? You're calling it a nightmare. Just explain what the end game of a Zionist-occupied government is.
The end game is to control, first of all, Wall Street, which they do, control the media, which they do, control Hollywood, which they do, control American foreign policy, which they do, and tie it into three world Jewish-controlled movements, which is international Jewish finance, international Jewish communism, and international Jewish Zionism, to control and conquer the world.
Why do they want? Why do they want communism? Let's just focus. That's a lot.
Slaves.
Why do they want communism? Is a question that I would love to have you answer.
All right. Well, we'll hang on to Scott. Hold that thought here, Scott. The Bigot. 855-450 free like freedom. 855-450-3733. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. You can take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live.
If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling at home or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape Smoke Hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off plus free shipping.
Is that Ellen painting her garage?
Yesterday she was trimming her hedges.
What's her secret?
I heard she was eating this new super berry called the aronia berry.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness.
Where can we get them?
Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
I can't wait. I've got lots of projects I need to get done.
Yes, you do.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us on the radio waves here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Joining you in studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
Me, Brett.
And me, Mark.
Let's go back to the phones and back to the fun. Do want to also remind you that if you want to get some shopping done online, you can help us out at the same time by going to shop.freetalklive.com. When you enter Amazon, through the links you'll find there, there's Amazon UK, Canada, and Amazon US. Free Talk Live will get a portion of the purchase price. So whatever it is that you need to buy, Free Talk Live gets a cut when you start your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. As we go back to Scott in Massachusetts, Brett from School Sucks Project had requested I keep Scott on because you had another question for him. His theory about this Jewish conspiracy. He believes the Jews want to take over the media, take over government, take over banking, and for the purpose of ruling the world or something like that. And you'd asked about communism.
Yeah, well, I mean, hold Scott over. Scott, I've heard you on the show going back years at this point. There's a market for you to start your own podcast in this day and age with this stuff. So tell me about communism and the Jewish connection, because I think obviously here I'm probably going to agree with you that there were a lot of Jews on the intellectual side of the development of communism. Is that your position?
Karl Marx was Jewish. He invented communism. Communism is a strictly Jewish invention. When Tsar Nicholas II was overthrown, he was murdered in a bloody manner, 1917. The Jews, and I mean a.k.a. Leon Trotsky, a.k.a. Bronstein, and others, were all revolutionary Jews. They destroyed the Tsarist regime and replaced it with a violent Jewish Bolshevik regime that became the modern-day Soviet Russia.
What was it about
communism
Jewishness?
Is absolutely Jewish.
I know. I agree that a lot of the major players in communism were Jewish. I would point out that if you look at the lineage or the history of a variety of intellectual movements, you will find a lot of Jews, including neoconservatism, libertarianism, liberalism. There's a lot of Jewish names in academia and intellectual pursuits. Now, you could say that, like, being a doctor, being an intellectual, being in finance are cultural aspects, but are you saying there's, or are you suggesting, or are you feeling that there's like some biological Jewishness aspect to communism or finance that most people are missing? Because I wouldn't agree with you there.
The Jews look at as Gentiles as stupid goyim. It's like calling a black man the N-word. It's a derogatory Gentile word for stupid Gentile. They control the world in their hands. To answer your question, yes, they're too smart. They're too intelligent, and that's why they have control of the world. And to answer your question, the Gentiles are too stupid to realize what's going on. This political correctness. You can't say, for example, like Charles Schumer or Adam Schiff, you'll see that you'll hear people say socialists or communism. You never hear anyone say that they're Jewish communists. That's precisely what they are, Jewish communists that want to overthrow America like the Jews overthrew Tsarist Russia in 1917. And it goes from Goldman Sachs, which controls this country's economy. Brett, it's so complicated. Anti-Semitism, people think that it's
Hatred's
just
pretty
hatred.
simple, man. It's not really that complicated. I mean, you
It
just
is. No,
bunch
it's more
everybody
complicated
together.
than you think it
You
is.
bunch everybody together in the same group,
No,
and you talk
no,
about them
no.
as though they all believe the exact same thing. And I think you're just jealous. I mean, at the very
No,
least,
these
you
are-
admitted that that you believe that Jewish people are smart. I don't think that. I think there's probably some dumb Jewish people and some smart Jewish people because they're people and they're different. But it sounds like you're intimidated by them. It sounds like that. You wish you could be
maybe I'm
them.
being a little vague. These are
They're
international
wealthy.
Jews
They're
that I'm
smart,
referring
according to you.
International Jews. What is an international Jew?
One that crosses borders.
An international Jew is a Jew that knows no boundaries, like the Rothschilds that have power in a banking house
What
in
percentage
Frankfurt am
of
Main, Germany,
Jews-
or in Wall Street in New York City.
What
They have
percentage
no
of
bounds.
Jews
They
is an
control the
international
world.
Jew?
That's a good question,
And
Scott.
Henry Ford named.
No.
Now, did you hear the question?
What percentage of Jews are international Jews?
That's right.
What percentage?
What percentage?
What percentage of Jews?
It could be I would say, within Jews today, maybe 5% of the Jewish race.
Can
and the
I
others
be-
are doctors, whatever. These are Jews like Netanyahu, the Rothschilds, Lloyd Blankfein, who controls
powerful
Goldman
Jews.
Sachs.
Now, let me ask you this: does one need to be Jewish in order to be an international Jew, or is this some club that one can enter without being Jewish?
You have to be a Jew to be an international Jew.
Because these international Jews that you're referring to work with lots of people who aren't Jews to get to make all of them rich. Isn't it possible that rich and powerful people just want to control us, and it really doesn't have anything to do with their ethnicity?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's known as a Gentile front. In other words, these Jews that have power,
So no,
like
it's
Michael
not possible.
Bloomberg, they have Gentiles to cover their tracks.
You know, we
to let
had
them-
power and banking before the Jews could ever possibly have been in control, right?
Say that again?
We had power in this world. The world existed. People were in power before Jews, existed. Before Jews were powerful. Before Jews had any kind of say in banking or anything like that. We had powerful people, and we had malfeasance. We had banking. We had all these things.
Yeah, I agree with
don't
you,
know
Mark.
why all this stuff has to be assigned to a particular ethnicity. And then when I
Because they
point out that
control
there
the
are
world.
other ethnicities,
Because it's convenient for
yeah,
him.
that's what it is.
No, it's
But
not.
it is
Well,
convenient.
Well, wait a minute. So there is a problem that I think Mark is bringing up, that the evil Rothschild family can be used as an avatar sloppily for all Jewish people, which I think is a little bit reckless and imprecise.
I'm going to say thanks for the call, Scott. We got a lot of other folks here that want to comment. Let's go to William. He's in Dallas, Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, William.
Hey, I didn't want to talk about Scott the Bigot, but I can't help but resist to say that Mark, you kind of stole my thunder. You I see all kinds of problems in this country, a lot of problems, governmental, etc. I would love to be able to point at one group of people and say it's all their fault, but I just can't. I feel like it's more. I don't know what it is, but I can't point at a group of people who are raised, whatever. Anyway, you guys are good at really, really good about talking about all aspects of a point. I think that's a talent. Kudos to you for that. And I also want to say on the guy who got shot, I had trouble with his name.
Philando Castillo. That's
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been listening to the podcast, and I've heard a bunch about it, and I don't know what to say, but
well, if you don't know what to say, you shouldn't have called in talk radio.
Oh, come on.
no, I'm messing it up.
Well, that's why notes are always a good idea. Next time, jot a few down. And William, thanks for calling in tonight.
21 short hours away.
Yep, we always got another show right around the corner. And if you didn't get your thoughts out, you can always call back. Let's go to James. He's in Indiana, listening online. Hello, James.
Hey guys.
Hey.
This guy and people like with that kind of a bias are laughable.
Sure.
Since it's just like you got the Democrats, everything is Trump's fault, right? So finding a scapegoat and just blaming everything on just like you mentioned on a group when there is a bad apple in every single batch. And
for sure. And the bad apples tend to rise to the top when, power is in the offering. That's what attracts these bad people. They want that power. They want to wield it. They want to benefit their friends and punish their enemies with it. And it doesn't matter what religion they are. They're all over the place.
Yeah, unfortunately, everybody probably heard of the Napoleon complex.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually pretty common among power-hungry people.
Yep, that's true. You can find all kinds of things in common among power-hungry people, no matter what their color or gender or where they were born or their religion. Thank you for the call tonight, James. I appreciate it. More coming up here in moments. You can share your thoughts with us. Our toll-free number is 855-450 free. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. Moments remain. This is Free Talk Live.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash and help us build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org. That's dash.org.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
For years, Southwest Airlines has boasted having the most loyal customers in the industry. Now the low-cost carrier is calling on its most frequent customers to finally do something in return for the airline. The company rolled out their new Loyalty Goes Both Ways program in a new ad campaign.
You said you wanted free check bags, and we listened. Now you listen to us.
Southwest's program is part of a new trend of companies not letting their customers exploit them anymore. CEO Gary C. Kelly has gone as far as to record this radio ad, which Southwest started airing nationwide.
Hi, this is Southwest CEO Gary Kelly. If my wife calls asking about me, I need you to lie and say I was with you. Remember all those low fares I gave you.
To any Southwest customers thinking about saying they're too busy to help, Kelly has some harsh words saying, quote, "We're always there for our customers. To anyone who can't do us a solid now and then, f*** you. That's not loyalty, that's freeloading."
This is the Onion News Network.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but there's enough time for you. If you dial in right now, we might be able to get you on here at 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, you've got Ian,
Brett,
and Mark.
And don't forget, if you want to help support Free Talk Live, one of the best ways to do it is to amp the show. You go to amp.freetalklive.com, and you can get signed up there for as little as $5 per month, or Bitcoin. So you can do PayPal, Bitcoin, credit card, whatever option is most attractive to you. But it's helpful for us to have that $5 a month coming in, because we can combine it together with other listeners' contributions and then use that to market the show more effectively to radio stations. We've got over 170 stations today. We could have more if we had a larger marketing budget, and you can help make that happen. And you'll get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group. You get an AMP badge for the brand new Free Talk Live forum, which you can check out at forum.freetalklive.com. And anybody's welcome on the forum. The amplifiers just get a special badge to identify who they are. And so you can get all that by going to amp.freetalklive.com. Again, that's AMP, as in advertise, market, and promote, amp.freetalklive.com. Let's talk to Sarah. She's in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Brett, and Mark.
Yes. Have you heard of Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet?
No.
Wasn't this guy a huckster? Like he was like a, I don't know, he was kind of taking advantage of people, reading palms, that kind of thing. Wasn't he one of those guys? Like a gypsy?
Well, most people would come with an illness, and then he would go into a sleep, and he would come up with remedies. But in some of the readings, he would tell the people that that was their last embodiment. You don't have to come back. You don't have to repeat anymore. So I guess they're considered like being an ascended master. They finally get to graduate out of Earth's schoolroom. So
Earth's schoolroom?
So all of the things, all sorts of remedies and all sorts of prophecy came out during when he was in a trance.
I'm surprised that you hadn't heard of this guy, Brett, Edgar Casey. The critics say that they challenge his alleged psychic abilities. Medical health experts are critical of his unorthodox treatments, which they regard as quackery. This from Wikipedia.org. Science writers and skeptics have suggested that the evidence for Casey's alleged psychic powers comes from contemporaneous newspaper articles, affidavits, anecdotes, testimonials, and books. Martin Gardner, for example, wrote that while Casey's trances did happen, most of the information from his trances was derived from books that Casey had been reading by authors such as Carl Jung and others. Gardner's hypothesis was that the trance readings of Casey contain, quote, little bits of information gleaned from here and there in the occult literature, spiced with occasional novelties from Casey's unconscious, unquote. So basically they're saying this guy was a huckster and he was scamming people. But sounds like you bought it hook, line, and sinker, huh, Sarah?
Well, I think he was really telling the truth, because he said that he had lifetimes in Egypt and also Atlantis. And he also that Atlantis would resurface again. And so when we have this polar change completed, there's a polar switch.
Where the poles flip, the poles reverse, right?
Yeah, they
I don't
talk
know
about that on Coast to Coast.
Degrees. I don't know if it's 100 or 90 degrees. I don't know, but it's going to get flipped back to the way it was 11,000 years ago.
Okay.
When is this going to happen?
Atlantis is saying.
When is this polar switch going to happen? When is this going to happen?
It's going to happen. It's happening now. It's moving. The North Pole is.
Does it happen
right
over
now.
a long period of time, or does it just all of a sudden switch one day? How does that work exactly?
Well, I think it switches I don't know, maybe in 10 years or 10, 15 years.
Still, like,
So
gradual enough. It's not like a breakdancing move that it does.
Well, all the Florida and California is thinking, and I think remember the Grand Canyon used to be underneath the ocean. That's what it says, right? They found all these artifacts. Well, I think it's going to go back underneath the ocean, like the way it was 11,000 years ago.
If we could, I think we need to laser in on one thing here and work on just one thing at a time. And what I'm interested in is the resurfacing of Atlantis. Can we talk a little bit about what that is? Like, I know that I think it was actually Plato talked about this and wrote about this. And he said that he, through his trips to Egypt, which you mentioned Casey went to Egypt, Plato had this.
He had embodiments. I said he had incarnation in Egypt.
Okay.
So he's reincarnated from some. Anyway.
Okay, so what is Atlantis, and where does it resurface, and how?
Okay, the word Atlantic Ocean, where does that word come from? There's nothing there right now, right? But there were chains of continents and islands 11,000 years ago, and that's what's going to resurface back up. See,
Why?
It was,
how do you know?
Okay, they call it Atlantis, the Atlantic Ocean, because there was the continent of Atlantis. That's where they get the name from. But you don't see
an
much
interesting
island.
theory. But I mean, what is that? How does that make you?
They call El Dorado that because there was supposed to be a city of gold. But
so it's just
not.
So wait, this continent. The story goes that this continent is just underwater, so they would be able to see it with mapping of the ocean floor, right? They'd say that's
of which only 5% has been mapped.
Oh, okay.
That's correct.
Okay,
because when the polarity switches, all of the part that's big is going to get pushed back up, like it was 11,000 years ago.
Why would the poles switching make it so that a sunken island comes back?
It won't. But there is some pretty suspicious stuff right off the west coast of Cuba. There's these odd shapes down there that look almost
because that was the Atlantean road.
I don't know what the hell Plato is going to know about that, or anybody in Egypt, but it's interesting.
Well, it's the floor of Atlantis. It's pushing back up. But when we have the polarity completed, it will be pushed back up.
All right, so just a bit of information for you here. Now, I don't know where you heard about this pole switch thing. I realize this isn't Atlantis exactly, but I was just looking here at an article from NASA. Now, I realize they are the government, so they might not be being honest with you here, Sarah, but they do say that the switching of the poles can take... let's see. It says it happens about every 200,000 to 300,000 years, although it's been more than twice that long since the last reversal. The reversal of the poles happens over hundreds or thousands of years, and it's not exactly a clean backflip. Magnetic fields morph and push and pull at one another, with multiple poles emerging at odd latitudes throughout the process. Scientists estimate reversals have happened at least hundreds of times over the past 3 billion years. And while reversals have happened more frequently in recent years, when dinosaurs walked the Earth, reversal was more likely to happen only about one every 1 million years. So probably not going to go down in the next 10 years.
The odds are against it.
I don't really know how accurate they are, but I also
that's because you're getting your
mention
information from Coast to Coast AM.
Are you? Is that what you're listening to, Coast to Coast?
Well, I stopped there. No, I stopped listening to it because they banned it from the KKOB here. So I can't stay up until 2 in the morning.
But she used to frequently listen to Coast AM.
What are you on to now, Susan?
Right.
What are you listening to?
Well, I read a lot of books, that concerning Atlantis and so forth. But I just want to say, if you're an ascended master like the founder of Hare Krishna movement, he was prophesied like 150 years ago before he came out. And the prophecy was that he was going to take the Indian Hindu religion and preach that to the Western world, and that's what he accomplished.
I keep telling people I am an ascended master, and no one believes me.
I want to say, and one of the reasons why I wanted to dig into this a little bit, in all of this stuff, this esoteric stuff, there are wonderful learning opportunities because these are exciting stories, right? I know something now, or I feel like I know something now that I didn't know before. It's great motivation for learning. I remember when I was here before, I told you the story about the little boy that I used to work with. He was like 8 or 9, and he was a unschooler, and I would go and I would tutor him, and he was obsessed with ancient aliens, and we would try to create learning opportunities. Now, I didn't believe in ancient aliens or cryptids or Bigfoot or any of that stuff, but I saw how motivated
What's
he
a cryptid?
was. A cryptid is a Bigfoot, the chupacabra.
Okay, it's a critter that we really can't prove exists.
The Yeti.
Yeah. Bigfoot. It's
Oh,
an
really?
Asian
So this
Bigfoot.
little kid was talking about that?
Yeah, he was really
How
interested
old
in
is
it.
he?
He wanted me to help him make a trap for Bigfoot by digging a hole and putting some meat in it and then covering it with sticks and leaves. And he
What
liked
evidence did he have that Bigfoot ate meat?
What's that?
What evidence did he have that Bigfoot eats meat?
Well, I mean, a primate of that size, Mark. Like, let's be real.
Well, it
But
would probably
one thing
eat
about
some.
Ascended Master, the Ascended Masters is not to brag that they don't eat or sleep or their blood is made out of gold. That's not their point is to brag.
My
You know what
point
I mean?
is, I wish that, like, listening to this conversation, I feel like we've gone in a lot of different directions very, very rapidly, and I don't believe deeply in a lot of what you're saying, but I wish someone would create a kind of concept map of all of this stuff, how it relates to, one thing relates to another, because one thing can go into another very easily.
That'd be fascinating.
And the veracity of all these things.
If
Thanks
we
for
can,
having me,
Sarah,
guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. SchoolSucksProject.com. Is that right?
SchoolSucksProject.com, SchoolSucksProject.com/ThadFest.
Check out more of Brett there, and we'll see you tomorrow night. FreeTalkLive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the Bigot no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. Silver is trading at $15.77 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,215 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,373. Antiwar.com reports in a particularly embarrassing case of U.S. allies torturing detainees. A video was leaked to the Turkish media showing fighters in the Kurdish YPG torturing at least 2 captive Arabs during interrogation. The video is reportedly from the end of May and in the Mansoura district west of Raqqa. It shows the YPG forces kicking and stomping on the prisoners, demanding information about the location of the Islamic State fighters as one of the detainees screams that he doesn't know anything about it. Kurdish officials have confirmed the authenticity of the video. Exactly what that leads to is unclear, as the Kurdish self-protection body describes the acts as the torture of one of the Islamic State mercenaries, but offered no details of how they decided that's what the detainees were, let alone why they only mentioned one torture when the video clearly shows 2 people getting stomped. The Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the YPG, suggested it was an individual act and that they would be held responsible if they were identified. The U.S. says they don't condone the actions in the video and suggested an investigation might take place through the Pentagon's legal branch. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Takata has recalled 2.7 million airbags, joining 42 million affected vehicles in the largest safety notice ever in the automotive industry because of a new hazard. The latest recalls announced on Tuesday involve Ford, Nissan, and Mazda models from 2005 to 2012, ones the Japanese manufacturer originally thought were safe. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said Takata is taking this action out of an abundance of caution, though it has received no reports of any field ruptures and has not experienced any as a result of the field evaluation program. The latest recall for the first time involves airbags that use calcium sulfate as a drying agent. The inflator can combust in an over-aggression manner, potentially rupturing and causing harm, according to a filing Takata submitted to the Highway Safety Administration. The first defective devices were recalled by Honda in 2008. More than 70 million inflators have been recalled, sometimes involving the same vehicle more than once. At least 17 deaths worldwide, including 12 in the United States, have been linked to Takata inflators. On June 26th, the company announced it was filing for bankruptcy protection in Japan and the United States and selling off its assets. It has established an $850 million fund to refund cost of airbag recalls and replacement costs incurred by affected auto manufacturers. Ford has not announced the models of the 2.2 million vehicles recalled and has 5 days to respond to the Takata filing. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a federal judge on Tuesday ruled that the government cannot immediately deport nearly 200 Iraqi immigrants arrested last month who argued they would face persecution if they were removed from the country. U.S. District Judge Mark Goldsmith in Michigan said he had the authority to order the government to keep the Iraqis in the country while their deportation cases were reviewed by the courts. In his ruling, Goldsmith said sending the Iraqis back now would expose them to a substantiated risk of death, torture, or other grave persecution before their legal claims can be tested in court. Many of the 199 Iraqis detained, largely in the Detroit area, but also Tennessee, New Mexico, and California, were Chaldean Catholics or Iraqi Kurds. Both groups said they could be targets for attacks in Iraq because they are visible minorities. The government is seeking to deport more than 1,400 Iraqis across the country. The actions are part of the Trump administration efforts to increase immigration enforcement and make countries take back nationals ordered out of the United States. Goldsmith said federal courts were first responders if constitutional rights were under threat, and the Iraqis' extraordinary circumstances gave him the power to block their deportation. A Department of Justice spokeswoman declined comment. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Quiet and reserved temp Kevin Bright surprised his coworkers this week when they discovered that the mild-mannered 27-year-old was actually an untalented singer-songwriter.
How did I get here? It's probably a tree.
Bright, who mostly keeps to himself at work, usually spends his free time embarrassing himself at open mics across the city, and that underneath his meek and soft-spoken exterior is a terrible guitarist with no musical sensibility whatsoever.
You see him in the office, he's this quiet, reserved kid, and you would never think, oh, he's got a great voice and a wonderful stage presence, and you'd be totally right.
In other news, an Ohio Film Festival graphic designer decides to go with film reels for the O's. And getting Grandma into a family reunion t-shirt is a 3-person job. The entire 144-minute cut of this week's review is available now for just $11.99 on Laserdisc. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember. I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear here, and declare your independence from me, Ernest Hancock, in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedom's with an S, FreedomPhoenix.com. Oh, we got James Corbett on. It's been a while. It's been like a month because we've been, traveling and such. Got to get caught up on all things James Corbett. Started watching some of the videos I've been missing and everything. We're going to get caught up with James, what he's been working on. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good evening. Good late evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm more than wonderful. Tell me, there's so many things that happen while I'm gone, and I'm just like, man, I can't go anywhere. So tell me what some of the big stories are that you're working on that you think's of interest to everybody.
Oh, well, I can tell you the stories that everyone in the world is focusing on and wants you to focus on, and the normal claptrap and silliness of the distraction of the MSM. And
Please,
did you hear about Donald Trump Jr.'s emails? Ooh, wow, big story.
We've had quite a few stories up on Freedom's Phoenix, and I can't muster up enough give a crap until I wait till James gets on.
Oh, well, actually, I was just going to say don't give a crap. That was going to be my advice about that. Here's the sort of stories that catch my eye. You might have seen in the last 24 hours, I posted up a video about a new study that was researching breast cancer patients and specifically researching 2 types of chemotherapy that are used to treat that breast cancer. And can you believe it? Who would have thunk it? They found that the chemotherapy in this study, with only 20 patients, so it's not, there's still a lot of more study that needs to be done, but in this particular study, they found that it looks like the chemotherapy opens entry points in the vasculature for cancer cells to spread throughout the body, i.e., chemotherapy can help spread cancer rather than simply kill it, and, in fact, actually makes for more aggressive tumors.
This
something
has
that probably isn't surprising to your audience.
Yeah, no, this has been kind of, you do chemotherapy, you're guaranteed to die. Well, we're going to extend life. Well, pretty much give them a death sentence, if you do this. And it's just from, God, I don't know what kind of anecdotal. Just because everybody that takes chemo dies. I don't know anybody that's. Has there been, do they demonstrate anybody being cured from these chemotherapies?
Well, it's a strange sense of the word cure, isn't it? Because the treatment is designed to poison you slowly enough that your cancer dies before you do. That's a successful chemotherapy treatment. And let's be fair, not 100% of people on chemotherapy die, or at least not die right away. But at any rate, it's of course been presented to us. I mean, this is modern medicine, guys. This is what are you going to use? Some kind of homeopathy or something? Are you one of those crazy science deniers? You've got to just trust whatever the doctors say, and maybe it's not quite that simple. Again, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with your audience, but it is important that we do document these types of things when they come along, because these types of studies have a funny way of getting swept under the rug, or you'll find science websites will report on them, but then lecture us. So don't use this as an excuse to question chemotherapy in general. It just means we have to fine tune it. And of course, that was part of this study. Part of the study was, hey guys, we found a new drug that will inhibit some of the bad effects that the chemotherapy is having on you.
That they never admitted to begin with. You
Exactly.
know?
That they never knew. They never knew. And of course, I think the most interesting part of this story for me, and from my perspective, was that something I talked about in my Big Oil documentary a couple of years ago. Maybe people don't know this, but chemotherapy actually emerged from the research of a U.S. Army biological warfare researcher from World War II, who in fact was working with mustard gas. And he was recruited by Sloan Kettering, which was founded by Sloan and Kettering. I can't remember their first names, big, I can't remember even where they made their money. But at any rate, rich people who were persuaded to start the Sloan Kettering Institute to research in these types of things by a Standard Oil executive who became the head of their research department and hired this Cornelius Rhodes character from the U.S. Army Biological Warfare Unit. He basically brought in his entire unit from the U.S. Army to start their research into how to turn mustard gas into an effective cancer treatment called chemotherapy. That's the real origin of chemotherapy. And so now we're discovering, maybe it isn't good for you. Who would have thunk it?
Let your food be your medicine be your food. I mean, it's so simple. And if your body can't heal itself, then it's got something wrong with the healing of your body. And you need to heal that first. I mean, it's just really not that complicated. One thing that did get my attention here in one of your stories, Jail Everyone, Bear versus Bees Space Corp. Now, this new addition to the military, they'll go like, the Marines are part of the Navy. They're going to make the, Starship Troopers underneath the Air Force, and they're going to space. We're going to space, and government's not invited. Well, they're putting their toe in anyway. So what do you know about that?
Yes. Well, I mean, this has been talked about for a decade and a half at least now. And in fact, in that video that you're talking about, myself and James Evan Pilato, that I do that weekly news series with, we traced it back at least as far as 2001, in January of 2001, when during, I think, his confirmation hearings to become defense secretary, Donald Rumsfeld was talking about this idea of how we need to weaponize space, basically, the militarization of space. So it's an old idea. It's been kicked around a lot, and but now it's finally coming, and it's expected by 2019. The U.S. Air Force is going to have this radical reorganization, and there is going to be this creation of Space Corps, the sixth branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. So we don't have details of what that organization is going to look like yet, but at any rate, it's going to be under what is currently the Air Force's space mission is going to be taken over by this new.
They have under the Air Force's cyberspace. We're going to do it in whatever's on the internet, cyberspace. Well, of course, we'll put it in the Air Force, So they haven't spun that off yet. Well, I don't know. It's called the NSA, I guess. But that's going to be of interest. All right. Well, the latest update we had Lynn Obrecht on right before we left, I think, and recently we just found out they moved him without telling the family or anybody. And she was trying to keep him where he was because it was whatever convenience, and he liked it there. So, of course, they go, well, then we'll move him. Do you know where they moved him or under what circumstances? What happened there?